Hey, this is Don Duncan here at Riverbend Tire Center. It's tax time, and that means it's time for you to get some new tires. We stock black wall, white leather, all-terrain, mud grips, and
miles per hour, so it is moving very, very quickly with time right now. Again, keep these communities up here so you can see them move it around, so you can see a lot of farming communities up in this way, and there's been some pretty strong signatures with the tornadoes across the northwest parts of Mississippi up towards Sunflower County and Bolivar County as well. So very active period coming up with this cell right now. A lot of heavy rain associated with it. I'm going to zoom out, and I think what we're probably going to see is this individual cell increase with time. Keep in mind, it's coming into an environment which is very favorable for continued intensification of the cells as they move off to the northeast. So again, this is a tornado warning. Let me put that up there, put the tornado warning box up there for you. And yeah, there it is. No surprise, as fast as it's moving. The tornado warning extended all the way over through Anguilla and Belzona right now. Here's Chula. This is Holmes County, Lexington. You're not in the warning right now, but again, with this cell moving at about 50 miles per hour, it's going to cover a lot of territory in a very short period of time. So tornado warning extended, and that's probably in effect till close to 9 o'clock tonight with that cell. All right, let's go get an update. Kristana's over there. She's in the center watching and analyzing the storm. And Kristana, as we watch this cell now, you can start to see how it's, let me stop it. I'll show you what I want to talk about here. You can start to see where it's getting this configuration of a little bump in there and the developing rotation right in that area, which would be over the Mayersville community.
Yeah, the rotation on that thing too has been a lot stronger with that previous tornado warning that was down all the way from Simpson County up into up until Smith County. So this one this one tornado warning is definitely one that not only is picking up speed, but this one does have a better tight circulation. I'll show you that in just a second. Again, if you're just now tuning in, we have an extended tornado warning. So we have one for Issaquena County until 8:45, northern Sharkey and Humphreys counties, that is until 9 o'clock. This is moving at a very rapid pace, around 50 miles an hour. Lots of lightning associated with this. There's that ring, the circulation that we've been watching pick up. This is the first one that we've watched with that circulation ring pick up all evening long, even off into the Delta counties. When I was looking at it, didn't really see a lot of circulation rings. So this is the first one that we're really watching. Also, on the impact tracker, we're also starting to watch some of those winds pick up anywhere between around 60 miles an hour, right around where that center of circulation is. The pinks and purples that you see from Mayersville to Hopedale to Tallulah and east of Lake Providence, that is signifying some possible small hail that is aloft that could try to fall and melt as it makes its way towards the ground. But again, that area of rotation is something that we are watching very carefully now. We'll update this in just a minute, but all the way from Bowie and Lake Providence, we've watched that couplet really tighten right as it crossed just towards the north of Tallulah and south of Mayersville. If that continues to track, Booth, heads up, that's heading your way. That circulation right along the Willett Road area, just towards the south of Ashland, east of Highway 1. Very tight couplet going on. Let me step out of the picture frame real quick, and then I'm going to update these arrows for you just to kind of show what all we're seeing when it comes to the rotation. We always want to see the rotation go towards and away from the radar whenever you have that tight couplet, and that's what we're seeing right now when it comes to our wind speeds with that tight couplet. Here we go, stopping right here. This is right on Willett Road with that couplet of area rotation where the greens and the reds meet. Another thing I'm going to have to update on here, again, this is moving at a very rapid pace, so something that I put on here about 5 minutes ago, not even 2 minutes ago, it's already surpassed that, but we're assuming that this could be anywhere between around 40-50 mile an hour gusts going towards and away from the radar. So that circulation could be anywhere between around 80 to 90 miles an hour. So that's area of circulation we're continuing to watch. Very strong rotation as well, just towards the east of Highway 1 this evening, and that's continuing to push towards the north and east. If you're in Rolling Fork, heads up. Anywhere from Anguilla towards Piercy and along US 61, this is continuing to push up towards northern Humphreys and Sharkey County. So Booth in the next 12 minutes, Rolling Fork in 13, Choctaw Landing 17 minutes, Anguilla in 19, Chapel Landing in 20, and over towards Big Eddy Landing around 21 minutes from now. David.
You know, right there where you're talking about that storm, and I got it up here, look at all this lightning near Rolling Fork. I was just monitoring. There's some Texas storm chases in this area, and it is continuous non-stop lightning with that cell. A lot of times with our Mississippi tornadoes at night, you see a concentration of intense lightning around the center of that. So this cell moving quickly. It's really going to be out of Issaquah County here in the next couple of minutes, and will be crossing across northern parts of Sharkey and Humphreys County. So this includes moving out of Rolling Fork, Belzona, headed up your way, and certainly with the fast moving, it eventually could impact parts of western Holmes County up towards Chula. We're expecting storms to develop fairly quickly now in our Delta counties as conditions becoming a little bit more favorable through the evening for these cells to continue. Just to update what's going on, you can see we had the heavy downpours that came up out of Madison County, and the eastern parts of Yazoo County moved through Goodman, Kosciuszko, and Vaden. These are all or have been non-severe downpours and have already moved off to the northeast, but certainly some passing thunder showers associated with those. The severe weather threat now is shifting to our Delta counties. We expect the evolution of a squall line or a line of severe thunderstorms to develop here through the course of the next couple of hours, and that line will be moving across the area. So the threat of an isolated storm, we're saying through about 8 or 9 o'clock, so that does appear to be diminishing now and shifting to this line of storms that'll come out of the Delta and then move across the Jackson metro area. And the severe weather threat should pretty much wind down by midnight or 1 a.m. Threat is tornadoes and strong wind gusts, of course, with the intense lightning as well. Warnings in our area, this warning for Newton County, that's out of our area. Here are the tornado warnings that we are talking about right now. It's almost out of Issaquah County. Our tornado watch is in effect until midnight tonight. So we've been watching down here for isolated severe storms, and so it appears the threat of that is really over now and has really only had the one cell that produced the tornado warning a short time ago. Now we're focusing on the development of the line of showers and thunderstorms off across eastern parts of Louisiana, southeast Arkansas. This line will continue to develop, may even actually see 2 lines. This first line developing an impact in the northwest parts of the viewing area right now, and a second line up towards Crossett. Still, as we've been talking about during our severe weather coverage through the course of the night, does look like areas, you know, draw a line from Vicksburg to Jackson and up to the north, and especially to the west of I-55. This is really a primed area where a lot of our weather elements are coming together to produce these severe storms. Now you can see the back edge of the storms coming through El Dorado, Arkansas a short time ago. Look at the tornado watches coming down right behind it, and the line coming through Monroe, Louisiana. What we need to really watch here over the next couple of hours are the storms that are trying to fire up in the eastern parishes of Louisiana. As they move to the northeast into the Channel 16 viewing area, they could intensify, become severe, and produce a tornado through the course of the mid-evening hours. And this is the area that I was currently talking about, with the threat continuing through midnight or 1 a.m. and it'll end a lot earlier than that across our northwest counties, and we'll keep you updated. So here's where we are with the radar forecast of what's pretty much going on, and the radar seems to have really picked up on the situation. So there are the storms building into the Delta. Our radar guidance wants to take the storms that are currently trying to form in eastern Louisiana and intensify them as they cross over the Mississippi River in about 1 hour's time. And there you take it through 10 o'clock, coming up on news time. That's that area we were talking about. This is the line, and that line will just be making its way. So there you are about midnight to 1 a.m. There is the line. There still looks like there could be some showers back behind the line. These would not be severe, not expected to be severe. That severe threat would be right right along this area and then diminish pretty quickly after midnight. And there you see the line shifting off to the southeast and the gusty winds diminishing in the overnight hours. We do have a cold front coming through, and you can see this is where we've been so warm. Here's the line of storms that have been forming on the boundary. So just one more time, I'll take the radar off, and through the course of the evening there you can see we had that cell move. That was the isolated cell, and now we're transitioning into this line of thunderstorms, which will be moving across the area through about midnight or so. All right, let's go back over to Christina with another update on that cell zipping across our Delta counties, now out of Issaquena, moving through Sharkey and Humphreys counties.
Information coming in all at once right now, David. We're getting a lot of good wind on this. This is on the uptick. We are waiting for the confirmation of this, but some of the storm chasers up there are looking at the possibility of a large wedge tornado just towards the south and west of Rolling Fork. So if you live into our Delta counties, this includes Sharkey County, this includes Humphreys counties, you need to make sure you are getting into your safe place right now. This has been considered as a considerable tag due to the fact that our impact tracker now showing over, if not at, 100-mile-an-hour winds right where that tight couplet has been circulated. This is the tightest couplet that we have seen all evening long, with the previous tornado warning and this one at this time. Let's see. Right now, the wind's going towards and away from the radar. That's just around 150 miles an hour with radar indicated alone. So this is on the uptick. That couplet has started to tighten very much considerably over the past couple of minutes. So if you live anywhere right along Highway 14, up towards Lorenzen, over towards Riverside Junction, you need to make sure you're getting into your safe place right now. Again, that tornado warning in effect until 9 o'clock, but we are watching this very much on the considerable factor as this continues to move off towards the north and east at this time. David?
Yeah, it does look like we have a wedge on the ground, and a rare tornado emergency now issued for the Rolling Fork community. This cell has really taken off, as Christina just showed you that. Very high winds and a wedge tornado. That would be a tornado with a V shape and usually a very strong and powerful tornado. You should be in an interior room and hallway. We know a lot of folks know what to do, and we don't need to tell you, but in this particular type of situation, get in an immediate safe spot in Rolling Fork right now. After that, heed the warning in Anguilla, over towards Dogwood Landing, and through Highway 14. If you live near Highway 14, take that very seriously. That is a very strong couplet that we're picking up on radar right now. Let me just check one thing while we're looking at that. I was trying to tweet that out very quickly. I was telling if you're in Rolling Fork, you have danger right now. There are storm chasers saying approximately 1 mile wide. This would be a major tornado. And to put it in perspective, not saying it is like that right now, but the Yazoo City tornado was a wedge tornado, and it was about 1 mile wide. So if you remember that, the folks up in the Delta, you know the one I'm talking about. We were here on a Saturday afternoon covering that storm, and it went from the Mississippi River about 200 miles across the state. Let's hope this is not going to be the situation associated with this. But this is a very dangerous signature that we're seeing on the radar right now. So again, moving into Rolling Fork right now, a dangerous large tornado, and will continue to move to the northeast. Reporting that it is about 1 mile wide and moving at about 50 miles per hour. So it will cover a lot of territory in a very short period of time. Unfortunately, this was the type of storm that we thought could develop through the course of this weather storm situation. Looks like that wind's a little higher than you were showing a short time ago, Christina. I think we're up over 120 miles an hour being detected on radar as we've gone to orange right now. So let me see. There it is, 115, and 1 mile wide, coming up on the moving through Rolling Fork right now very quickly. It'll move through very quickly, and Riverside Junction, Dogwood Landing, big eddy landing. I do realize that this is a rural area, but it is a mile wide. It's headed towards Anguilla. You're in the path of this dangerous tornado right now. Again, keep in mind, this is a rare tornado emergency, and we're talking about northern parts of Sharkey and Humphreys County. A dangerous, large, nighttime tornado is on the ground right now, and we're seeing terrible signatures on radar associated with that. I had just mentioned how Mississippi nighttime tornadoes had concentrations of lightning around the tornado, and this is exactly what we're seeing in this area. I'm going to go over to the CC right now. Look at that, right over Rolling Fork. We're picking up debris. Might be able to, Kristana might be able to look here over the next couple of frames of data that we get. We'll watch and see how high that debris gets up. If it is a strong and powerful tornado, we could see this debris going way up, thousands of feet into the air. Again, what we're looking at here, this is CC, is the correlation coefficient. And the radar is looking into the storm, and it's looking for stuff that's different and the same. So all around this, where you see the uniform colors, it's seeing rain. Right here, the radar is picking up debris. I know when we have bad weather, there's a lot on the screen, but we have a dangerous situation, and this storm is headed to Anguilla, and you have less than 5 minutes until a dangerous wedge tornado moves through your community. Heads up, northern parts of it's already moved out of Issaquah County. We have Sharkey and Humphreys County under a tornado emergency with this storm coming right out of Rolling Fork, Anguilla, Holland Landing, Dogwood Landing. This is all headed your way. Further upwind, I'm going to go a little bit, move away from that, just so you can see where you live. You are in the path of this tornado, and there's no reason to think it's going to weaken anytime soon. So you are under really an immediate threat of the storm headed your way. So there is Gooden Lake, you're in the path, and Belzona, you're in the path, but you're outside the 10-minute warning for the storm to arrive in your area. But the tornado is headed right towards Belzona. So draw a line from Rolling Fork to Belzona, and we got a large tornado, which is about a mile wide, and it is moving your way. The shear, look at this, it has increased even further, now up over 120 miles an hour. 126 is what our shear is being detected. This would put it in at least EF3 category. That's a possible EF3 tornado or stronger that is on the ground right now. So keep in mind that I've zoomed out a little bit, but you saw these communities will it less than 10 minutes. If you have a storm shelter, a lot of these farms in the Delta do have storm shelters. This would be a good time to get in your storm shelter. If you are upwind, say up towards Belzona in a mobile home, get out and get out of the direct path of this wedge tornado, which again is about 1 mile wide. We're going to keep a lot of these graphics up because we have a very dangerous situation, and we want to keep as much data on here as possible. And if you know family, friends up in this area, give them a heads up. Of course, with cell phones today, a lot of this information gets out very, very quickly. Let me just throw it quickly over to Kristana. She's watching some of the traffic coming in from the storm chasers that are out there. Do you got anything that you can add that we haven't talked about?
No, the only thing really to add with this is that, and this is a reminder that this could possibly be on the ground for a prolonged period of time as well, because of the fact, let me pull this up real quick, because of the fact that this is a standalone storm. We've been talking all morning long about the low-level jet riding right along with it. This is going to help add fuel to the fire when it comes to these particular type of supercell thunderstorms. And the fact, again, that we do have some storms off into the northern part of the Delta, but not really seeing anything south. This is considered more so of a standalone storm, so this is going to continue to feed off of that low-level jet energy and continue to ride towards the north and east. So this is a very large and dangerous storm that is continuing to barrel down right now on Sharkey County. This has been a confirmed large wedge tornado. We've been trying to pick up the TDS with this.
Picking up debris up to 22,000
feet. 22,
this is a powerful storm.
This is a really powerful storm. Do we see if there's anything up on our GRT with that?
I'm getting over there right now.
Okay. While David's doing that, let's kind of break down that debris tracker. So David was just mentioning that we are picking up debris aloft. You said over 22,000 feet at this time? Yes. So over 22,000 feet. And this is, let's go ahead and pull up 3D while we're at it.
Shield 3D for you.
There we go.
And let me get it up here. Let me get the window. I'm just going to come down to one window right now. Get up CC. I'll describe what I'm talking about. Right here over Rolling Fork, this is our debris. And then I'm going to go up. And that's over 20,000. Let me get to there right here.
There it is.
This is at about 20 to 22,000 feet. So I'm seeing the debris thrown from Rolling Fork. Remember, we got upper level winds at about 60 to 70 miles per hour. It's throwing the debris up towards Anguilla right now at about 15 to 20,000 feet. So here we are down to, I'm at 13 to 14,000 feet right now, and I see the debris. Come down here, and I'm at about 10,000 feet. I still see the debris, and get a little bit lower. You see it, how you can see how we're down close to the ground now. Here we're at the ground, and the debris is at Rolling Fork, and then you move higher, it's moved up. Here's an update. The debris is over Anguilla, so the wedge tornado is over Anguilla right now, moving to the northeast. Just a tremendously dangerous signature of powerful winds. Looks like we got shear approaching 135 miles per hour right now. All right, get back to you. I'm going to get my radar reset. I'll be back on the air here in a second. But just wanted to get that out to everybody. This is bad. Tornado for the Delta region, north parts of Humphreys and Sharkey County. The tornado now moving east of Anguilla, and it looks like it's probably getting ready to cross State Highway 14.
Yep, right next to State Highway 14, just right on top of Dogwood Landing. If you live in Dogwood Landing and you are not in your safe place and you're watching this right now, it's almost a too little too late type of scenario. You need to be right in your safe place. Same story if you're right along Highway 14 this evening. We're looking at Catching Road, Fish Lake Road. One of the greatest things about our system is we're able to get down right to the brink of it to where we can pick up roads on here. Again, these are rural communities, but this is a very dangerous situation to where people are impacted right now. So we are talking about right on Catching Road, Fish Lake Road, Straight Bayou Road. This is pushing off towards the north and east at a rapid pace. So the fact that this is not only a large and dangerous tornado, but this is also a large, dangerous tornado traveling at a rapid pace at 50 miles an hour, this is not a good situation at all. We are picking up wind speeds over 115 miles an hour with this. That rotation, let me push this out of the way real quick to see if we have an update, and then we'll switch things back over to David. So here's the latest update when it comes to the rotation on this one couplet, to where we could be seeing, again, this is just radar indicated itself.
Look at that 121 there.
Yep. I mean, that is a very dangerous storm, David.
Well, this is the type of tornado that you really need to be in a safe spot. And unfortunately here in Mississippi, we do not have basements like other parts of the country. But right now, the shear is on the extreme end. You see we have yellow here. It's come down a little bit, but yeah, it's still a powerful storm. Don't let that deceive you. So it's passed to the northeast of Anguilla. We certainly should see really catastrophic damage with this type of tornado. Again, it is going over a rural farmland area, but it is a mile wide. So if it makes contact, like it went right through Rolling Fork. And when we showed you the debris there, that doesn't mean it's houses, but it could be trees. But it went through Rolling Fork, so there's probably been damage, perhaps considerable damage from Rolling Fork to Anguilla, and now it continues to move off to the northeast, and it's been really racing at about 50 miles per hour. Let's just go wide so we can see where we are with this storm. Here's the Louise, Midnight, Silver City, and Belzona. Now, Belzona, high alert up that way, and Silver City, right now it's tracking up towards Midnight, Silver City, and Belzona. As intense as it is, it may try to turn a little bit to the right of an exact northeast track, but certainly there's some really powerful winds associated with that. With the intense lightning, I'm sure that's how the storm chasers that are out there have spotted the tornado, but it really does look like it is in a area of rain. Now keep in mind where I circled is where the rotation is. Again, a lot of data is coming into the computer, so the warning ring is going to lag where it is because it has to ingest and kind of catch up, especially when we have a fast moving storm system. So through Anguilla, Dogwood Landing, coming through Autry now, Gooden Lake, Midnight, and Silver City, you have less than 5 minutes, and headed up towards Belzona now, unless you're probably within about 10 minutes time of this wedge tornado, which has been reported about to be 1 mile wide. So intense lightning associated with this cell. I do expect right now, Louise, you're in the tornado warning right there on Highway 14. Going to be a close call, but it looks like it'll pass just to your north up towards Romeo Midnight, say between Romeo and Gooden Lake, somewhere in there right now is where we expect this to go. Let me zoom out, put it in motion. We can see how this is really came together very, very quickly and has just intensified into a large wedge tornado. So Belzona heads up your way, moving at close to 50 miles per hour very, very quickly now as it's come across the northern parts of Issaquena County, moving through northern Sharkey and Humphreys County as we speak very, very rapidly. Look at that intense lightning with that cell as it has moved off to the northeast. I'm going to just take a quick wide out view here, and we do continue to see some hint of intensification of the line which extends further to the southwest down between Tallulah and Delhi, a line of cells trying to organize off to the northwest. I just point this out because as we have been talking about through the evening, the low-level jet stream, which is the wind, the ribbon of wind at cloud level, you know, 5,000, 10,000 feet is just screaming across this area right now. We just have a lot of parameters coming together which are favorable for rapid storm intensification and tornadoes, which we've been talking about, could be strong or long-lived. And we've certainly seen some radar indications that this tornado which has formed certainly could be at least EF3, and that's just an estimate, nothing official, just an estimate, just based on the radar data that we've been watching as we've been watching the storm. So still picking up some debris. There's the warning ring catching up with that right now. So here's Anguilla. It's already cleared there, moving right up along close to Highway 14. That's where we're seeing the debris right now, and that usually is a little bit behind where the circulation is. Let's update that. We're getting the radar pictures pretty quickly. So again, keep upwind, get into an interior room or hallway and into a safe spot associated with that as it moves to the northeast very quickly. So no other warnings except for this major tornado moving across our Delta counties.
So one thing I wanted to point out with this too, whenever we're talking about really big, violent, or potentially violent tornadoes, is not only do we pick up the debris ball with this, but there's also the possibility it may pick up the debris scatter that's on the other edge of that tornado. And honestly, David, I'm going to keep watching this, but I feel like this is something that we may be looking at right now. Not only a very strong tornado at this time with a well-defined debris ball, but just towards the north of it, some of that debris that continues to be scattered on the other edge of it where it continues to fall down just towards the east of Delta City. One thing real quick, let's switch things over to our 3D system, and this picks up, and I'm going to move this over. This also has a slice into the storm to where you're able to pick up how tall or how far north, let me rephrase that, how far that one debris ball could actually be lofting that debris. And right now it doesn't really have a considerable, but again, I'm wondering how far up that's actually being lifted. But this is a potentially dangerous situation right now to where we are looking at a violent tornado that is continuing to move across the northwestern part of central Mississippi. All right, let's switch things back over to our Lynx 2 system. Again, there's that debris ball right on Highway 14 right now. I'm going to step out of the frame real quick, zoom on in, and then we'll fast forward some of the other frames that we're looking at on our Lynx 2 system. So this is right on top of Highway 14, South Bayou Road. This is coming right onto Alligator Road, straight Bayou Road, and over towards Tate Parker Road. If you're in midnight, you need to be getting into your safe place right now. That's barreling down towards you. Again, moving at a very rapid pace this evening, around 50 miles an hour. We put it up into a loop, and you just see how tight that couplet is going across Rolling Fork, over Dogwood Landing, and now that's pushing right across Highway 14 this evening. Let me back this out of the track and update you right now. There's that tight couplet, and this has been holding pretty strong for the past several scans. When it comes to that tight area of rotation, a large wedge tornado that's continuing to be on the ground. We've mentioned that with these standalone thunderstorms, they thrive off of that energy. They thrive off of the wind energy as well. That's just right above the surface, and that's what keeps these storms healthy and on the ground for a prolonged period of time. We've mentioned that there's the possibility of these tornadoes that are going to be on the stronger side, EF2, 3 or stronger, and on the ground for a prolonged period of time. And David, that looks like we may be seeing that right now.
Yeah, and you know, just something to keep in mind as we show you some of these different images, that the tornado is moving through farm fields, so there may not be as much debris to lift up right now in certain areas. We saw that on the CC, we saw that bright blue when it was over Rolling Fork, when it was over Anguilla. A lot of farmland right now, so based on the wind that we're seeing, and you can see the shear is still as strong as it ever has been with this cell, we still have a significant tornado on the ground, and right now there's no sign that it is weakening. I'm going to just turn the lightning off right now, try to give a clearer picture. I know we got a lot of data that is on there, but a lot of shear, which is your rotation that's in there, and I'm going to get closer, leave those communities up. This is still a very impressive radar couplet signature right here. Here's Louise. We've told you that this tornado crossed Highway 14 a short time ago, so it's just to the south of Otair and on the north side of Highway 14. Romeo and Midnight, you're now in the immediate threat in less than 10 minutes time, probably closer to 4 or 5 minutes. I know we're showing an estimate of 7. I just think it might be a little less than that. It kind of depends where I touch down, and really when we update that, it's trying to move along. So I'd say less than 5 minutes. You don't have much time at all to be in a safe spot, storm shelter, if you have it. Reports of a mile, maybe 2 miles wide. The Yazoo City tornado many years ago was just as big. And you know, on that day, when we had the Yazoo City tornado, that was the only tornado of the day. And it really only takes, you know, you don't need to have a lot of tornadoes all over the place. You can have one big one. Let's hope we don't have any more big ones tonight, but unfortunately we're tracking a really nasty storm right now. There's the shear. Let's go back to the severe, and that really hasn't caught up with our data. It's still lagging. Again, taking in so much data, and it's really takes time to catch up. So right over here, and when I put the velocity up here, I'll just circle it so we can keep up to date. Here it is over Bombers now, right there, and just to the west of Midnight and Romeo. So the tornado will be moving into there over the next minute or two, less than 5 minutes time till it gets into Romeo. And it looks like the tornado will pass just to the north of Louise, but if you live just to the north of Louise here, you certainly should be in a safe spot, because it's going to be a real close call for Louise as well. There's the new warning ring, which just popped up on the screen there, and it has updated, still indicating that wind shear well over EF3 strength, possibly with this storm. Again, that's just an estimate based on the radar data that we're looking at right now. And all these areas, I'll tell you, it's probably intense lightning, and we've got the storm chasers seeing the wedge tornado, but in particular, this wedge tornado is really in an area of very heavy rain, so you're probably seeing a lot of rain being wrapped in this huge wedge tornado. Just a very ominous picture. We have seen some of the pictures from the storm chasers. You know, we're not allowed to broadcast a lot of that, but the storm chasers providing crucial information on the size of this tornado. And when the lightning flashes, you just see this huge area of wind and rain associated with that. So just really now coming into Midnight and Romeo communities, just a couple minutes before it crosses these. And just keep in mind, if you're over here in Silver City and Honey Island, you're now still in the track of this tornado. Let's even go a little bit wider because there's no reason to think that it will weaken. Chula, you'll be in the path of this, so it's looking like it's heading over towards the western parts of Holmes County right now. Shear looks like here on the last, it's come down just a little bit. Still over 100 miles per hour. The cloud top is 40,000 feet associated with that cell right now. So certainly very, very impressive as it continues to move. You can see the tornado warning is in effect till 9 o'clock this evening, but you know, as far as I can tell, there's no sign of weakening in this cell. And so we would certainly continue to expect the warning to continue until this storm weakens. You know, you look at the radar and, you know, you don't see a big hook echo in there because the circulation is embedded in this large area of very heavy rain at this time. All right, I'm going to get a little bit closer again, and Richland, Silver City, up towards Belzona. So right now, Silver City, Belzona, it looks like it'll pass to your south. Continue to monitor very, very closely. Here is our CC, and it looks like a pretty large debris field right now, which is being thrown up into the atmosphere. And then the upper level winds take it and spread it around. That is what, you know, it's been, boy, I can't remember the last time that we've seen a storm that was really that impressive strength-wise, unfortunately, and then see this large debris cloud associated with it. So certainly a very, very nasty looking storm on all aspects of what's going on. All right, let me just widen out here. We'll go back over to Kristana and she'll give us another update, but just want to, let's see what's going on in the entire viewing area right now. Don't want to miss any storms since we're seeing some explosive development right now. And that storm coming out of the Delta, really Holmes County and Chula. Take your preparations for this tornadic storm right now. Let me put the tornado warning box up right now. Chula, you'll be in a tornado warning here very shortly as this tornado warning gets extended over into Holmes County and maybe even up towards LaFleur County, the Greenwood area. As far as Kosciuszko goes, this cell would pass off to your northwest and miss Kosciuszko. Now, we do have some other cells trying to develop. We got a cell developing here between Vicksburg and Delhi. We'll watch that. That's starting to take the kidney bean structure right there. So that certainly has potential for some development as well. It's this cell right here that I'm talking about. Get a little bit closer and move it around, coming up on the Tallulah community right now. So we'll keep an eye on that. That has a little kidney bean shape to it in the development process. We don't really see a lot of lightning associated with that right now. Put the velocity up, keep up on that. I don't see any significant rotation associated with that. So again, the main game, just like earlier in the evening when we had that isolated storm moving across our southeast counties, down across Simpson, southeastern Rankin, Scott and Smith counties, we just have this one cell, which is a doozy right now. So coming through Romeo and Midnight right now, a very large tornado, and it will continue to move over towards Silver City and Richland very quickly. This is Richland, up to the northwest of Jackson, not down in Rankin County. But do expect a tornado warning to be issued shortly for Holmes County. I don't know if the tornado emergency continues, but Kristana can check that. I haven't seen where it hasn't been discontinued, but you know, when a tornado emergency is issued, that's actually an upgrade of tornado warning. It just means that we have a really strong tornado on the ground and it is in progress and going to do catastrophic damage. Here's again, just want to show you, it's moving so quickly. Our circulation up there, I was just going to point, the warning ring just takes a minute or two to catch up with it. All right, Silver City and Richland. In this part of areas south of Belzona, you are now under the gun. The wedge tornado, a large tornado, a mile or two wide, doing a lot of damage, moving across Issaquena County a short time ago. Sharkey coming up on Humphreys County. It's going to be moving through Silver City and cross 49 here in the next minute or two.
Look at this. We don't see this very often whenever we pick this up on our tornado tracker. I think the last time I saw this personally was when we were tracking those two big tornadoes down in southeast Mississippi. I think it was back in 2019 with the Soso and the Bassfield tornadoes. That just goes to show how long it's been since I've seen our debris or tornado tracker really pick this up. What this pretty much means is not only saying, hey, this is a dangerous tornado, but this is also indicating that this is EF2, 3, even stronger status. So it takes a lot to really get this picked up, and it's the first time in a while that we have seen that tornado tracker pick up. So we'll watch that very carefully, but right now that rotation is right on top of midnight, if not just towards the north of it. That's heading towards Silver City right now. So the Richland community up into the Delta counties in the next 6 minutes, Silver City in 6 minutes as well, Brooklyn 11 minutes, Honey Island 15, Mathena 17, as well as Thornton and Refuge within the next 18 minutes. That rotation has been holding strong. Not only are we picking up our rotation tracker, we're also picking up a TDS signature tracker, which we do not see very often on our system either. So that just goes to show how violent this storm and this tornado has been on the ground, not only for a long period of time already, but continues to be on the ground. We have picked up that debris ball for quite some time now. This has went right across midnight, and this was going to continue to get right towards Silver City. So heads up, Silver City, that is heading towards you guys. I'm going to back up real quick, or actually, no, I'm going to stay on here real quick. This was the previous scan showing the difference between where the debris ball was and the debris fallout was, pretty much meaning that debris that picked up and got lofted into the tornado gets spit out somewhere else, and normally it's to the north of the storm. That was about 8 miles, and this is also anywhere between about 6 to 10 miles of a difference between where that debris ball is picked up on our signature, but also where that fallout is from Gooden Lake over towards Belzona and just along Highway 3 south of the Bellwood community. So again, we have that dangerous tornado on the ground right now. This is coming right on the Cartwright Road community. This is coming right along parallel to State Highway 149, and this will be heading right towards Silver City. If you live in Silver City and you haven't gotten to your safe place right now, you have a matter of minutes. David.
It's coming right into Silver City right now, and what has been very impressive, unfortunately, with this cell is the consistency. Still seeing all the values off the top end of the chart. Still looks like the shear is somewhere, anywhere between 100 and 130 miles per hour, which is very, very impressive. So this yellow ring is our warning ring with the intense winds and a rare appearance of the debris ring. And Kristana, while you were on, I'm still tracking that plume of debris up to 15 to 20,000 feet. It's just spreading out all over the place. So, you know, we hear the stories when we have big tornadoes like this where somebody will find something 100 miles upwind from a tornado. So we're kind of seeing that evolve right now. We're seeing this debris showing that it is just going, you know, off the chart in the upper level winds with the CCR. Let me get back over here. I need to turn something on here. While I had it on, while I was getting the radar up, I turned things on and off, and I'm getting old. I forget to turn things back on. That's what's going on. All right, well, it looks like the debris tracker, I just turned it off as I put it back on. But you get the idea as we watch that. And on our debris tracker here, again, coming up over Silver City, the tornado is right now. And you're just looking at this debris field, you know, the tornado spewing the debris, and then the upper level winds spreading it out all over the place. Here's the velocity coming across Highway 49 in Silver City right now. So 1 to 2 miles wide is what the reports have been. I don't believe we've heard anything different or any updates. Very rural, and with it being a dangerous tornado, hopefully the storm chasers playing it smart and staying out of the way as this heads your way, because you get up the Mississippi Delta, you can get trapped on a road and it only goes in one direction or the other. It's not like there's a lot of avenues to escape. So that's what we're looking at. And again, tornado warning now has been issued upwind, I see, and that will include Holmes County over towards Chula.
Real quick, now getting reports from some of the storm chasers up there of extensive damage in Rolling Fork. So
well, you know, we're not going to be surprised since we saw the debris. We'll certainly expect to see reports from Anguilla, Silver City. These Delta communities look like they've been hit pretty hard by a destructive wedge tornado tonight. So it's still on the ground, folks, and it's coming across Silver City. We got a terrible situation this evening with this tornado. And now I want to show you here, let me put that, we hadn't talked really about hail too much as well, and it does look like there could be a little bit of hail associated with it, but certainly the big story with this is the tornado that is on the ground with this cell. And let's get in there. We're still picking up some winds well over 100 miles per hour. Again, now when we tell you what we think it's an EF3, an EF4, we're just basing that, or at least I'm basing that on what I've seen in 40 years of being on TV. It's certainly going to be looking like an EF3, maybe pushing an EF4 tornado based on what we're seeing on data, and now getting reports of significant damage back towards Rolling Fork, and we certainly would continue to expect to get reports from these other communities that have been along the path back towards Anguilla. You were hit by the tornado, went across Midnight, coming across Silver City, and we'll continue on this northeastward track, which will take it up into the western parts of Holmes County before too much longer. Now here's Chula, right here, Shackelford, Butler, Horseshoe, Montgomery, Kruger, and Meeks. I remember when the Yazoo City tornado went through, and then it crossed Interstate 55. You know, if you know where it is, you can still see where there's no trees where that went through. I'll give you the perspective here. There's Yazoo City right there. So this is really just moving across the far northwestern parts of our viewing area. Here's Pickens, Goodman, Durant, and Vaden. So it won't be too much longer. You know, less than maybe 30 minutes or so that it could actually get up towards Vaden and Winona here in the northern parts of the state. I encourage you, if you know friends, relatives, anybody, acquaintances that are up in this area, to let them know that a dangerous tornado is coming over your way. So, you know, it's just a serious situation and has a big tornado associated with it. Not seeing much change in the way that the storm structure looks like it's still very significant and continues to move at a very quick speed. So Silver City just got hit by the tornado, and it does look like the tornado passes just to the south of Belzona, headed up towards, let's talk about Chula and Kruger, these two communities. It's headed up your way, and it won't really take it too long to get there at the speed. So let's get our tracker up there, and there you can see some of the communities that are along the path, and everybody that we're talking about. Butler is right there, probably less than 15 minutes, so certainly going to be 20 or 25 minutes till it gets to the east side of our track over so Chula would probably be in around 15 minutes time as well. So all these areas, you just really need to be in an interior room or hallway, and certainly if you're in a mobile home in the path of this wedge tornado, you would want to get out of the path associated with that. Look down here. We've been tracking the shear at about 125, still 115, so a significant number with that. And the cloud top does continue at about 40,000 feet. So wedge tornado remains on the ground, has just passed through Silver City very quickly, headed over into western Holmes County now, which means Butler, Chula, Grass Lake, and Honey Island. You're in the path of this storm right now. All right, Kristana, she's got the, I think you got the jet stream. I'm going to show everybody why we're seeing such intensification with these storms. This is what we've been talking about. Absolutely.
Real quick, though, I do want to mention, and for the people in the newsroom, too, I sent out a message to you, but also I'm going to go ahead and say this out loud so you guys can hear me back there. This is over towards Rolling Fork and Sharkey County. Individuals that are believed to have been trapped, described in what has been described as a truck stop near Rolling Fork after the tornado moved through the town. At least one person has been injured. Other reports that I've picked up, lots of debris over into the Rolling Fork community. We're starting to get storm chasers to put up pictures as well. So once we get that and we can get any confirmation of being able to share that, we will try our best to get that to you. But again, that dangerous situation continuing. We've been watching this low-level jet just continue to feed all this energy into that one storm. Notice from Yazoo City to Vicksburg, Canton, yes, we've been seeing a couple of showers. We've had that one storm up into Philadelphia, now making its way into Macon. But other than that, we haven't really had any storms to interfere with this one cell alone. So all of that attention with that low-level jet is being driven right into this supercell thunderstorm right now, which is one of the reasons why we are continuing to watch this dangerous tornado, large wedge tornado on the ground that continues to move towards the north and east.
The tornado emergency does continue. That still is in effect.
And that's for Holmes County, I believe, correct?
And it was spotted just through Silver City a couple minutes ago.
Right through Silver City. So Silver City, it's right on top of you right now. Watch the evolution of this going right out of the Mississippi River over towards Lake Providence. That's when the first warning was issued. And this has been moving at a rapid pace, anywhere between 50 to 55 miles an hour. So this keeps on updating right at the minute. Right now, this is right on top of Silver City, just south of Belzona. I would say, honestly, Belzona, get into your safe place right now. This is not necessarily right on top of you. This is to the south of you, but this is a very large, dangerous tornado. We've been picking up debris fallout also on our debris signature with this as well. So if you live downstream, even into Holmes County, and I'll show you this in just a second, we're also picking up debris fallout ahead of this tornado. So not only do you need to make sure you're getting into a safe place right now because you're in a tornado warning, but you also need to be getting into a safe place right now because we have debris fallout just towards the north and also right in front of that warning as well. We mentioned this a second ago. We picked up that tornado tracker. The last time we've picked that up was a couple years ago, I believe, when we had the Bassfield and Soso tornadoes down into South and East Mississippi. So it's been a while. That just goes to show how big and catastrophic this tornado could be. Yes, this is going through rural communities, but I just mentioned it a second ago. People are being affected by this at this time, and this is about to go into Holmes County. So if you live right into the Mathena, Grass Lake area, right along 12 from Choctaw over towards Butler, you need to be getting into your safe place right now. This also includes Horseshoe and over into Kruger and Chula areas. This is about to cross into Holmes County. Let's zoom this out. Here's the latest track on this. So we're looking at Choctaw in the next 7 minutes. Butler, you have 10 minutes before this is right on top of you. Over towards Chula in the next 12, Wyatt in 13, and Pinchback and Kruger in the next 16 minutes. Again, there's that debris ball that we have picked up for the past several minutes, showing that this could potentially be a long track tornado. The fact that this is standalone, but also notice all of this from Morgan City to Adair is all debris fallout. This is now not only towards the north, towards 4 Mile, but also in front of it as well. So this is another reason why you need to make sure you're getting into your safe place. Again, this is moving at a very rapid pace. That measurement is now needs to be updated, but you can kind of push it off towards the north and east a little bit. And we were measuring that fallout as far north or as far east as about 10 to 18 miles. So that is a very far distance for that one debris ball or that debris to really be lofted into the atmosphere and being traveled across the region as well. So we are continuing to watch very strong shear with this. Doesn't really look like it's going to be on the downward trend anytime soon. David.
Yeah, you know, the debris has been up there, and it's getting a little bit more diffuse. I was looking, and it looked like you could see it up to maybe about 10,000 feet right now, but it's gotten so diffuse associated with that. All right, so now we're past Silver City, and we're still moving across the northern parts of Humphreys County, getting ready to move into the western sections of Holmes County, Horseshoe and Butler. You're on the next up, and there's the shear. What I want to talk about there is we continue to see this little S feature in that line, and the velocity feature continues to be very, very significant associated with that. Let's do another update on the track. And again, I'd take a minute or two off of some of these values because of the fact that I may have just clicked off a little bit and it's moving so fast. So you can see right there, let me put that back up. I didn't mean to take that off, but there we are. Chula, less than 10 minutes now. I'd put it, maybe just over 5 minutes. Coming up on Butler and a little less than 5. And you can see the numbers updating right now, right over Grass Lake and Mathena right now, and then it will continue to make its way across into the western parts of Holmes County. So as I said, Chula now less than 10 minutes away right there. So it's already crossed US 49. Remember, 49, kind of goes off in 2 different directions right there. But there it is at Chula in probably maybe 6 or 7 minutes. This is all transpiring right now. We've seen a lot of debris on our radar signature. We expect to get reports of a lot of damage. Let's hope we don't have any fatalities or anything like that with such a strong tornado that has crossed our Delta counties through the course of this evening. But again, these are the communities where it continues to make its way across the area. Dangerous situation. We got the circulation embedded in an area of very heavy rainfall, so it's pretty hard to see the tornado. And I turned a lot of things off so you could see it a little bit clearly. I'll turn them back on and off. I've turned the warning boxes off because we start getting a lot of stuff, but and we're in so close anyway, you can't really see the whole box. So this is where we are coming up. Butler, Choctaw, that'll be crossing into western Holmes County here, minutes away. Chula, you're in the direct path, so you really got Wyatt, Oswego, Chula, Shackelford. You're in the path of this dangerous tornado that has been crossing our Delta counties this evening, and we do think that there's going to be some extensive damage associated with this. And even though it's gone through a lot of rural farmland, it has passed through some communities, and a tornado this large, this wide, this is significant. Let's take a wide view just to check and see what's going on. We're so concentrated on this one storm. Looks like that activity that we were talking about to the west of Vicksburg has really not shown much development. As we've been watching the severe weather through the course of the evening, there have been some indications, and we've really been talking about this as our target area through the evening time. And when we've been looking at a lot of the forecast data, we're seeing a lot of indications that this stuff that tries to develop off to the southwest is not going to intensify, and that all the energy is confined right up in here to our Delta counties. So let's hope, at least for the rest of the area, that does continue to be the trend. You can see how heavy the action is across North Mississippi right now. Let me turn it and put it in motion. In fact, I'm going to use a radar composite because I'm working off of the Jackson radar right now. And you can see there is not a lot back here in northwest Louisiana. In fact, that's behind the front. So maybe a little thunder and lightning associated with that, but really don't expect that to intensify. You can see it. This is where the low-level jet stream, about 5,000, 10,000 feet. The winds are just screaming along up there and just giving significant energy to our line of thunderstorms as they have just intensified very rapidly across our Delta counties. All right, let me zoom back into the Jackson area. Just let me hit some of my buttons, get the right radar back up. It's just so wonderful to have this technology that when we have this weather, we can do so much and stay on the screen and provide you with the latest information. Kristana, boy, look at this. Look how intense the lightning continues with this cell as it's moving into the western parts of Holmes County right now. This storm has just been very, very consistent. It intensified very rapidly once it crossed the Mississippi River. It had a severe thunderstorm warning on it just west of the river and west of Mississippi, and as it approached Lake Providence, it intensified rapidly, and it was only just a short time after that that we were getting reports of from the storm chasers that there was a wedge tornado on the ground associated with that. So the tornadic part of the cell's approaching Chula right now. Still some pretty heavy rain on the backside towards Silver City. That will begin to let up here before too much longer. Let me stop that and put the velocity back on and put some of the communities back up here so you can see again. Now coming in very, very at a short period of time in these communities where we have been tracking those storms. I'm going to get closer again so you can see what's going on. We still have a very impressive circulation associated with that. And right in that area, we're still picking up, see that little orange area to the east of Grass Lake and Mathena? These are still winds in excess of 125 miles per hour. So all indications are this is still a significant tornado. Been reported a short time ago of 1 to 2 miles wide. I haven't seen anything on an update on the width of it. No reason we just haven't seen any of the parameters that we're tracking change. So we believe that it continues to be a large wide wedge tornado producing some very significant winds, and we continue just to see this impressive radar couplet coming through the Butler, Choctaw communities right now, just minutes away from Horseshoe, and then further off to the east. Here is Chula up towards Wyatt. Tornado now looking like it may pass, at least the center of the tornado may pass just to the north of Chula, but right up here towards Wyatt and Oswego, you look to be in the prime track of this really catastrophic tornado with the powerful winds, and still seeing some very strong rotation. We even had extreme rotation in this for a short time as well. Nothing has changed. It's still consistent, and we continue to see impressive circulation here. And again, this is a tornado emergency, which is kind of an upgrade from a tornado warning. Means we got a serious tornado on the ground, a life-threatening situation where this tornado is moving right now. Let's get the get CC back up. And again, right here close to the tornado, we see some indication of debris. I haven't been tracking it, so I don't know if that's the debris being spread out upwind. Hard to say on that. I'll do a little bit of a time lapse. And you look at the lapse, that's certainly possible, where you had the big tornado going across Rolling Fork, Silver City, and Anguilla, and then that debris gets caught in the upper level. So it's certainly possible that we're seeing some of that right there. But again, we're looking at this storm, on the fly. So, but we still certainly do have down here an area close to where we see that circulation. I'm going to circle that right there where we see a debris signature. And let's go over to the velocity and see it matches up. So when we look at all these different data parameters, that's how we can verify what's going on based on the data that we see. And you'll see the warning ring will catch up to that as well. Just think of all you're taking in rain information, you're taking in wind information, shear, the CC, and then you got to make your warning ring. That's why it lags a little bit. So here we got communities, Wyatt and Oswego, just north of Chula. You're now in the path of this really large, dangerous, life-threatening tornado as it continues to move very steadily off to the northeast at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. Kristana, and unfortunately, I hate to say, this is kind of doing what that Yazoo City tornado did years ago. Looks like it's going to be a long-lasting tornado that's going to make a lot of real estate across the northern parts of the viewing area.
Absolutely, and I have one of my friends, a storm chaser, that's up there right now as well. He's been mentioning significant damage just south of 149 with a search and rescue team underway in Silver City. So we do have a search and rescue team underway. Unfortunately, in Silver City, just went barreling right through the town. This is now into Holmes County, western Holmes County, right on top of Butler. This is going just towards the north of Chula, but Chula, you need to stay in your safe place at this time. Anyone in this severe, in this tornado warning right now, honestly needs to be staying in their safe place. Wyatt, you are under the gun, as well as Kieran over towards Kruger, Adair. That's heading your way. If this continues to track at that rapid pace, so let's zoom on in here over towards Oswego as well. Highway 49 over towards Old Highway 49, right on top of Horseshoe and Belmont Road. This is going right towards Wyatt. If you are not in your safe place, Wyatt, you need to be in there. You have a matter of a minute or two with that rotation, but you also have to take into consideration again, when we have this velocity or we have this area of rotation, sometimes because we have so much data coming in, it may lag a minute or two. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's safe to say this is right on top of Highway 49, right over into the Wyatt community. We're looking at Oklahoma in the next 10 minutes, Pine Bluff 11, Adair in 12 minutes, Acona in 15, as well as Seven Pines, Black Hawk in 17 minutes, Shady Grove in 21, and Centerville in 22 minutes. So this is going to continue to move into Holmes County. Egypt, Meeks, and Acona, you need to make sure you're staying in your safe place at this time as this starts to make its way off into the northern part of Holmes County. So again, this is a very dangerous tornado. The evolution of this is, I mean, as a meteorologist and a weather geek, you look at it, it's just phenomenal. But I know phenomenal isn't necessarily the perfect word to say in this situation because you have communities that are impacted. We talked about Rolling Fork. We have communities impacted right there. We have a search and rescue team ongoing right now in Silver City, and this storm continues to move towards the north and east. This is what we talked about when it came to the possibility of not only strong tornadoes at EF2, 3 or higher level, but also on the ground for a long period of time. It only takes one to remember this, and I can go ahead and tell you, not only we are going to be remembering this, but the communities that are impacting right now are going to be remembering this as well. I also want to put on the evolution of the debris tracker too. We saw this pick up right in Rolling Fork, those bright blues right on top of it. That continued into Silver City, and we are seeing this just towards the north of Chula, right in between Chula and Horseshoe. Now, one thing to mention, David mentioned this a second ago before I toss this over to David, that because this is in a rural community and it's picking up trees, sometimes it may not necessarily show, hey, there's that debris ball right there, but sometimes it cycles back around. So we're going to have to watch that pretty quickly. Again, Wyatt, barreling down on you right now. David.
We still got a dangerous tornado on the ground, and you know, I'm just reporting what I see, but the Twitter traffic from Rolling Fork is not good. They're calling for all available emergency personnel and ambulances to Rolling Fork, and we do know that it did take a direct hit from what we thought looked like at least an EF3 tornado, and it could have been possibly stronger. You know, we've been tracking these winds pretty consistently over 125 miles per hour, and I still continue to see that on our severe weather button. And the velocity products that we continue to show on the air are just mind-boggling how consistent, and all the energy that we were talking about that could come together appears to just be coming right together in this one storm system. So what we're looking at here is rotation. Here, we've just been showing a lot of information to you. There is our rotation, and what we're picking up on the radar is 125, at least. And when we have that type of tornado, the winds actually could be, and probably are, a little higher than that. And so this puts us in the EF3, EF4 range. And especially when we see the tornado remain just so consistent and not change its appearance, we know that it is a oppressive circular supercell. So just to the north of Chula right now, Wyatt, Oswego, and Kern have just gotten hit by the tornado. Tornado emergency continues. Let me just go wide here so you can see where we are. Here's Chula, and this is the northern parts of Holmes County, and it'll be moving up towards Choctaw County here very shortly. Again, if you know family, friends, or acquaintances up in this area, give them a heads up. This would be the Adair community, Black Hawk, Ochoa, Emory. When you look here is the community of West, Hesterville, Kosciuszko is down here, so this tornado is going to pass off to your northwest. Let me go wide, and I want to put it in motion just so I can analyze what's going on. I think I see some things here, and I want to just watch it in motion and see what it does. I'll turn the lightning off as well. There's, like I said, I realize we're used to seeing this type of data. But there's so much on there, and I know it's hard sometimes for you to see what's going on at home, so we try our best to describe. And what I was just trying to look, see if the winds were trying to spread out a little bit, but no, I still see a very significant circulation associated with this tornado. Boy, I'll tell you that, Kristana, it has just been so consistent on how it has moved across our Delta counties right now. Let me just go a little bit wider here. I think my time lapse only goes back about an hour. I can change it in a little bit. But look how fast it's moving. In 1 hour's time, it's gone from just to the east of Anguilla, now to the north of Chula. It does look like the winds are spreading out a little bit. Let's hope that might be some kind of a weakening trend, but we still have a dangerous tornado on the ground associated with that. So what we have here is Lake Providence got hit, Rolling Fork got hit, Anguilla got hit past just to the north of Louise, Silver City got hit. In fact, on your computer, you could do a shear tracker where it overlays them all, and we can see the path that this tornado took, and now is passing just to the north of Chula and to the south of Kruger as it moves along very quickly at 50, maybe even a little bit further than that. So let me get a little bit closer here, and we're going to stay with this storm, even though it's about to exit our area. We're going to stay with it because this is a really serious type of situation, and probably one of our strongest tornadoes that we've seen in a very long time. As I said, it's passed to the north of Chula. This is far northern parts of Holmes County. So now I'm going to get tested significantly on Mississippi geography, but I think that's moving into Choctaw County, Carroll County, just to the west of Vaden there. So into Carroll County, it's just about to cross and hit Adair, Pine Bluff, and Acona in these areas. So, Kristana, can you get that shear track up there, the swath? Want to see a shear swath is what we want to look at.
I'm working on that right now.
And get that up so we can really track and see where the path of this storm is. And let me, she's got it up there. Go ahead and throw it over to Kristana at the monitor over there. She's got that up. You can see that impressive track of this really deadly tornado. Well, we don't want to say deadly yet because we don't know that, but certainly very significant tornado. You're up to 62 miles already. At least
62 miles has gone through 4 counties in within a matter of an hour. So this just goes to show, not only how much damage a tornado can do in just a short amount of time, but again, this is what we talk about when we talk about prolonged tornadoes on the ground for a prolonged period of time, and it doesn't have much really to stop it at this point. This will be making its way, David just mentioned it a second ago, into Carroll County. So we have a couple more minutes for Holmes County before that one tornado warning is out of our region. However, we are not done talking about that tornado just yet. It's going to be a couple of days. I was talking to Erin Pickens earlier this morning. She was mentioning, it's like, is this really going to be as bad? I'm like, honestly, if this is going to be as bad as what we're expecting it, we're going to be talking about some of these tornadoes for a couple of days at least. And I think that is definitely true to case with this one track from Lake Providence to Rolling Fork all the way to Silver City. So again, that's about 62 miles right now and counting. I'm going to step out of the picture real quick, but this also is something that I want us to keep an eye on for the next little bit. This is not, I don't believe that they have fully issued this at this time, but, okay, wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. Let me pull this up real quick, because
we're getting reports of severe damage in Silver City and people trapped, and there's injuries there. And from the Rolling Fork police, law enforcement, they need all the help they can get with search and rescue and all, as I mentioned before, all ambulances and paramedics possible in that area.
So this is a very, very serious situation. It's an all hands on deck situation. So, oh wow, David, look at this just right now. This is an update on one of our velocities. So again, not only are we looking at that tight couplet in the northern part of Holmes County, this is something I'm watching downhill from it. This could possibly be from what's called contamination. Whenever you have such a strong system, sometimes back behind it, some storms try to trail right back behind it. This is not a tornado warned storm at the moment, but this is something that I'll be watching over the next little bit because it has picked up in lightning and we do have a little bit of a circulation. This is just towards the north and east of Silver City, right towards Highway 12. Again, this is not a tornado warned storm as of right now, but this is a heads up saying we're going to be watching this very carefully. So let me go back into my show real quick and let's talk a little bit more about this one storm. So again, there's the update right now with that area of rotation right on top of or just towards the west of Lebanon Road over towards Providence Road, Meeks, north of Oklahoma, Adair. You have a couple of minutes before that heads your way. You need to be getting into your safe place at this time. We have talked about time and time again what this storm has done. This just goes to show what this storm is still capable of doing. I'm going to backtrack this one more time. I'm sorry, I keep stepping out of the frame, but this has just been updating time after time over the past several minutes. So we only have a couple more minutes until this is out of, out of Holmes County. But again, we do have that very tight signature that we are continuing to watch. So all right, it does look like there may have been error in our velocity point. So this isn't necessarily showing, hey, we have a strong push of wind from Pine Bluff all the way to Rising Sun and Meeks. This is just a little radar error. So this is going to be updated in just a second. But there's still a very tight couplet that we picked up a minute ago just south of Meeks, over towards Adair and northeast of Oswego. So over towards the Holman area from Lebanon Road, if we can get Holy Grave, Meeks Road, again, those are very, very small fonts that we're picking on up. But here's just another track of that debris tracker from Lake Providence all the way up now just towards the south of Kruger. This has been a long hour and a half, David, but unfortunately the work has just begun.
You know, we can dig in, you know, when we switch off, we can dig in and show the folks some of this now that it is happening, or what has happened. Now, this storm is just about out of the Channel 16 viewing area, but as I said, we're probably going to stay on, and at least when we continue to see indications that it still has some pretty good kick to it. Now, keep in mind, this storm is not the end of severe weather. In fact, the Delta counties, the threat of severe weather is not over. You can see back to the west here in Greenville, there's still a line. There's no warnings on it right now, but this activity is still pushing into an area, and an area where it's favorable. Because what we were staying, Kristana, what was it, till about 10 o'clock, we thought the low-level jet stream would be a big factor and what was going to be transpiring this evening, and it's just a little after 9:10, and of course we've been covering this, so I hadn't looked at any new data, but it still looked like in this area that we're continuing to watch storms, that there was still going to be strong winds coming out of the southwest in the low-level jet stream, impacting these type of storms and being the fuel for them to intensify, and unfortunately, be possibly catastrophic like we have seen. So the severe threat, they're not close to being severe or producing a tornado, but we still have a couple areas to watch extending to the southwest of our major tornado and still a line back into the delta. Now, if you've been watching the last day or two, once we get past 10 or 11 o'clock, the upper level winds and the surface winds become parallel. So that kind of takes the tornado threat down and more of a wind threat. We still have a situation that's developing tonight. So areas in northeast Mississippi over into northwest Alabama into the overnight hours, we'll see this activity that is moving across North Mississippi will be impacting areas up towards Tupelo, Aberdeen, Columbus, Starkville. So if you got kids up there at Mississippi State, Oxford's getting some pretty rough weather. They've had some tornado warnings up there. I think the severe weather threat should be over in Oxford within the hour, but it's going to continue till after midnight, maybe till 2 a.m. or so, up towards Starkville. So give your kids a call up there and alert them, make sure they stay safe and know what to do. And I know that Ole Miss, Mississippi State, all state universities have a plan for these type of situations, and the kids get the alerts over their phone of what's going on, so they usually know. Just make sure they're aware. It's Friday night, and college kids, I don't know, on a Friday evening, they might be doing a little extracurricular activities after school, so just make sure your loved ones are safe up there. And right now, all we can do is watch and see if we have any kind of threatening redevelopment across the rest of our viewing area to the southwest. Boy, it's uncanny when we see things and talk about areas that we thought would get hit the hardest, and then it happens. And in this case, it's really hard to believe it was one storm so far that's going to be certainly the impactful event that moved across our area. So that's what's going on right now. The storm continues off to the north. I'm going to zoom into that. It should be out of Holmes County just about now, so let's get up there. And really the structure is beginning to break down a little bit. The further east that it does get, it should begin to weaken, but as you can see, even though the radar presentation of precipitation was not good, we still have a very significant couplet that has now crossed over into Carroll County, and then next would be Montgomery County off to our north. So still probably have a significant tornado that's still on the ground, and we'll probably certainly see these tornado warnings extended off to the northeast to include Winona, maybe up towards Duck Hill and to the northwest of Eupora. Vaden, you'll be on the edge. That storm's probably going to pass to your north, but you may be in the tornado warning box. So again, here's your family, friends, and acquaintances up there in the northern parts of the state. The tornado has moved out of the Channel 16 viewing area. This would be up towards Winona, Vaden now. That's moving from Carroll up into Montgomery County, and it still does look like we have really a significant type of storm moving across that area. You can still see the warning rings are still popping up, and as we also pointed out, there's a cell that's following it right now that's just to the west of Chula. So that cell, is that a tornado warning that's been issued for that, or that's kind of an old one? No warning with that, but certainly, as you mentioned, looks like there is a little bit of something moving through that area as well. Let me just stop that and zoom out. Certainly a little wind associated with that, and that has moved right across the same area. Severe weather button not picking, but look up here, still we're picking up on our severe weather button in this area. This is winds up over 100 miles per hour. Usually that orange really is 125, quite honest, and there it is. We'll move it up to there. So it's up over Black Hawk. It's just been unbelievable how consistent this storm has been as it's chugged right across the northwestern portions of our viewing area. It just hasn't really showed much sign of changing its intensity, wind speed, or direction. It is just chugged along in the same direction. Put it in motion. There you can see how it has moved steadily off to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour. Next time I get off, I'm going to set a longer time lapse on this so we can see how it has moved across the entire northwest portions of the viewing area. And you can see here, we're still seeing some high-end returns on our shear there. There's some yellow mixed in there and still some really significant wind coming right in through the Black Hawk community. So we're over Carroll County right now and still have what looks like a very large tornado continuing to move off towards the northwest. All right, let's go back over to Kristana with some more.
At that one cell that's right back behind it, trailing it right on top of Butler. Again, this is not included in that tornado warning. However, we are picking up a rotation ring on there. Let's see if they end up issuing a tornado warning with it. But not only are we looking at some rotation being picked up just west of Wyatt, right on top of Butler right now, but we're also picking up a good amount of lightning from Highway 49 over towards Bentley Road in the Choctaw community, as well as Horseshoe. This has not been as strong over the past couple of minutes, but we've been on and off when it comes to the weak to strong rotation. Typically, whenever you want that ideal rotation on a rotation tracker, we get an S-shaped curve with a bulge in the middle. We have a little bit of an S-shaped curve, not by much, but we get that bulge between Butler and Oswego. So this is something that we are watching very carefully right now. This has, again, not been a tornado warning at this time, but this is one storm that is trailing that main event that we have been tracking. Again, here's that wide view of it. We're continuing to watch that low-level jet move on through from Yazoo City to Chula. Winds just above the surface, really screaming right now, keeping that storm strong. Off towards the north, where again, this is a lot of lightning, so sometimes it's hard to pick up, but we still have the main line to go. So like David said, our severe weather threat for the night is not over with just yet. We do have a couple more hours, but it's these individualized supercells that cause big issues that will be talked about for quite some time. Again, here's that track on it. Over the past hour, we would have to go back another 30 minutes or so to watch it cross the Mississippi River in Lake Providence. This is a storm that had that shear track on there for over 70 miles now, and it's continuing as it moves up into Carroll County. So we had that debris tracker from Lake Providence to Rolling Fork across Silver City, which right now is an all hands on deck situation in Silver City with people possibly trapped, and they're asking for ambulances and fire departments to come in and help them out with that tornado debris that has unfortunately caused catastrophic damage in parts of Silver City. Another thing I'm picking up right now is not only that rotation ring that we've been watching with that main cell, but again, there's that rotation ring with that cell back behind it that we are watching very carefully. So we still have heavy rain right now from the Anchorage over towards Louise and Silver City. No rain at this point to be reported over towards Lake Providence at this time. I'm going to zoom out in just a second to kind of give you an overall view on what's all going on. But we do have a tornado watch still in effect until midnight. This includes all of central Mississippi up until around midnight, with the exception of, whoopsies, I'll have to fix that in a second, with the exception of Pike, Walthall, and Jefferson Davis County. So let me go back real quick. I accidentally hit too many buttons all at once, and let's see if there's any updates on what is going on at this time with that updated one.
We'll continue to see the debris signature up there in Carroll County as that storm keeps on going.
Yep.
So we're monitoring that back little circulation. As I promised, I went back and we got the whole track now of this terrible tornado. You can see where it started right here, Lake Providence, and there was a severe thunderstorm warning. And then we upgraded quickly as it approached the Mississippi River to a tornado warning. And boy, hit Rolling Fork hard, Anguilla. Silver City has been hit hard right across and then over into Chula. And you can see how we get on this track and we see these yellow areas, and this is extreme. We're on the top end of our scale of where we see the rotation and shear associated with that. So really just a awful storm that we watched develop through our very eyes very, very rapidly. And as the storm continues now, it is out of the Channel 16 viewing area. It is up in Carroll County, but still has a debris signature on it, and it does look like a tornado does remain on the ground associated with that. Now, that said, the severe weather threat is not over, and there are still dynamics in play that could reignite activity, and to an extent, let me turn the lightning back on. To an extent, we're seeing a little activity develop back here to the northwest of the Jackson metro area. So we're coming up on 9:30 here very shortly, and our forecast was for this line here to be coming into the Jackson metro area around 10 o'clock or so. That may be close. We're seeing some little warm advection showers develop out ahead of this line. I don't think in the short term they will do anything except provide some shower activity. But it does look like this line is still trying to come together, so the severe weather threat is certainly not over. And as we've been talking about, at this time, right through here, we have very strong winds. I mean, they're on the upper scale of what we see. This is why when we talked about the weather last night and the night before that we were saying there might be some terrible weather tonight. Now, as we head past 10 o'clock, this will begin to shift off to our east, and we hopefully will see these storms start to ramp down. But unfortunately, some of the areas that have been hit by the severe weather and tornadoes. And there were a lot of tornado warnings up in far northwest and north Mississippi. I haven't even been keeping up if there's been any damage up there. But look at this cluster of lightning continue across this cell. I will go back to the Yazoo City tornado. It went all the way across into the eastern counties of Mississippi, and this storm has a chance to do that. It is about halfway across the state of Mississippi already. So that has been some storm, and it's crossing I-55 right now. Remember, I said the Yazoo City tornado left a scar across I-55, and it's certainly possible this will do the same, where it'll just knock down or level all the trees along its path. So the tornado warning is now extended over into Montgomery County. It goes over towards Eupora at this time, and so here you can see where West Point and Columbus are. You can see with this moving to the northeast, this cell will pass maybe close to Eupora, head up towards West Point and Aberdeen and Ambry, Mississippi, if it can hold together. So that would pass south of Lee County, which is where Tupelo is right now. But we're certainly continuing to watch the development of other cells along this line back here, and we'll just have to continue to monitor that and see if they do continue to develop. There is not looking anything impressive in the winds right now. We're just beginning to see a little bit of wind, but nothing serious or significant at this time. So for the record, right now in the Channel 16 viewing area, we have a tornado watch till midnight. No warnings right now. Kristana?
Quick updates on this. We're continuing to get storm reports coming on in and considerable amount of damage over towards Silver City as that community got hit very, very hard this evening. Right now, two other things to be reported. Multiple storm chasers reporting that they are actually transporting injured personnel and injured residents from Silver City to the Vicksburg Hospital because the Sharkey-Issaquena Community Hospital on the west side of Rolling Fork was damaged by the tornado. So it does seem like they're actually transporting people who have been injured in Silver City to now the Vicksburg Hospital because that local hospital has been struck by the tornado. Again, we'll continue to get more updates on this. Once we get some more pictures coming on in, we'll share those with you as we can. But do keep in mind that this is going to take some time. They have gotten hit very, very hard. We have community members that are now having to pick up the pieces over the next several days. And right now, we've been getting reports of people who are possibly injured now having to be transported all the way down to Vicksburg. So for all those people who are all having to be traveled, definitely keep them in their thoughts and prayers tonight as a community, unfortunately, is having to deal with a catastrophic incident. We're still watching that low-level jet continue to feed onto that one storm. So this is moving through Carroll County quickly. That tornado warning also being extended now. The good news, if you have friends or family over into the Golden Triangle near Starkville, Mississippi State, I know they have the Severe Weather Symposium. A lot of meteorologists and science people are over onto the Mississippi State campus tonight for this weekend. That is going to be moving towards the north, but we are watching that front still back off into the Delta. It has a ways to go. Again, we mentioned that this tornado watch is in effect until midnight. So we still have a couple more hours. Now, could this have been the main event? Yes, it's definitely a possibility, but we are not in the clear just yet. We still have a couple more hours to go. So hang tight with us as we continue to watch this front sink down to the south with that low-level jet continuing to ride across the Magnolia State. The Pine Belt's been dry for the past several hours. We've been watching on and off showers right along I-55 from Canton over into the western part of Lincoln, eastern Franklin County. Not a lot, if any, lightning really to be reported with these cells, but back off into Tallulah over towards Yazoo City, we are looking at heavy rain with a couple of lightning strikes. This is not that severe potential at this time, but we are going to be watching this as this is on the backside of that low-level jet that we are going to be watching very, very carefully. Again, several tornado warnings that have been reported up into the Delta. We are continuing to track those. There's one new severe thunderstorm warning off into Boonville this evening, and there's that one tornado warning now moving out of Holmes County into Carroll County, and that's going to continue to move just in between Vaden, Grenada, and Eupora. Lots of lightning with this. It has been holding strong for the over 70 miles, and it continues to traverse across the Magnolia State this evening. We're still watching that tight area of rotation just towards the south and west of Winona. That rotation that we're watching on the back side of it now weakening a little bit, and this is right on the Carroll County and Holmes County line. So after that little area of rotation gets out of Holmes County, we're not really looking at anything at this point with the exception of a little bit of a lull, and it's going to be another waiting game to see if anything else develops with this. That rotation over along Highway 35 over into Carroll County still strong, with that rotation back off towards Adair and east of Kruger weak, but we get that S-shaped curve with a little bit of a bulge. So again, this is something we are watching, but this is crossing right into Adair right now, so this will be getting out of the Holmes County community within the next couple of minutes. The area of rotation has been holding strong over the past several hours the past hour and a half from Lake Providence to Rolling Fork all the way up into Carroll County. That is now right on the brink of Winona. So if you have any friends or family members that are in Winona, you need to tell them to get into a safe place. Tornado emergency for
Winona. The cell has recycled, and that tornado is actually a little bit further to the north than it was. So right here on Storm Shield 16 3D, still tracking that strong tornado. Here's Winona, and so a tornado emergency for Winona. The circulation is going to pass right over the city very shortly. And as we've been telling everybody, friends, family, acquaintances, keep them advised of what's going on. Again, this is out of our area, but we have such a impactful storm which has hit our viewing area hard up in our Delta counties and continues to impact other areas and towns just outside of our area, and certainly plenty of people have relatives up that way. Let's switch over to our maps now, and with no warnings in our area, we're just kind of monitoring and keeping you updated. Here again, watch, this is just incredible, a time lapse showing the thunderstorm, and there's the rotation track of our wedge tornado, reported to be a mile or two wide as it hit Rolling Fork very hard. Look at the cluster of lightning, and when you watch that animation, you see the light brighter intensity of the lightning, and that's right under where that big tornado was, and we have that cell following it on the backside. You can see some lightning right on the backside of that. Here is a close-up view, and you can see our warning ring zipping along, touching down just to the east of Lake Providence, going across Rolling Fork and Grilla. So it moved across northern parts of Issaquena, Sharkey, Humphreys, and then over into Holmes County, then Carroll, and heading over towards Montgomery County right now. So just a terrible track. Here is the radar view that we currently are watching, and the areas that have been hit by the tornado are not out of the woods yet, and the threat of severe weather is not over for the Jackson area either. Here is the main line, which still could intensify and develop. This back line has to sweep through the areas already hit by the tornado before the threat is over. And as far as the rest of the viewing area, we still have some showers and thunderstorms trying to intensify a little bit across the western parts of Yazoo County and down into northern Warren County. Now keep in mind, as we continue to pass in time and get closer to 10 o'clock or after, a lot of the severe elements that were in place to kick off this terrible tornado will be shifting out of our area. So while we may have the severe weather threat continuing, we may not see the intensity of what is going on. All right, here it is, right across the Big Black River before too much longer. The activity to the west of Yazoo City, to the west of Satartia, trying to develop, and that will be moving off to the east and northeast. Over Madison County, there's just regular showers right now. So in place, our tornado watch continues until midnight tonight. I suspect some of our eastern counties, this will get extended later than that. But for the viewing area in the metro area, midnight or shortly thereafter, the threat should be over, and it should be out of the entire viewing area by 1 or 2 a.m. So again, here it is, the wide radar view, so you can see a lot of showers trying to develop coming into the south central parts of the area. It's non-severe right now, and the data we've been looking at looks like very low probabilities now of severe to the south, higher from Vicksburg and Jackson to the north. All right, watch the tornado watches coming down on the back side of that. Now behind the front, there still are some lingering showers. These would be non-severe. And as we were talking about, notice how that threat now shifting over into northwest Alabama and south central parts of Tennessee, from Huntsville to the north of Birmingham and up towards Nashville, now under a tornado watch as this feature comes along. Now here is the radar forecast, and we use this for guidance. So compare that to the radar that I just showed you, and do notice that the intensity of storms here are a lot higher than what is actually happening. So we take that into consideration. But that said, the radar forecast is right on with the severity of the storms that have impacted our Delta counties. But here it is now, 11 o'clock, still kind of chugging through the area, and then get a little bit wider. You can see how the worst of the weather, and this is where the elements that triggered our tornado tonight will be up here by midnight or shortly thereafter. We still do have some cells moving through, but I don't know. Right now, the expectation is for them not to be severe. So that's what's going on across the area, and everything's going to be long gone by dawn. Put some wind gusts on here for you, just show you how everything's moving along. Do expect the wind gusts to continue, but right there, that's the line, midnight, 1 a.m., moving now to the southeast. Behind that, there's some showers, but they would not be severe, and the front continues to move on. On the positive side, tomorrow's weather, Kristana, looks like it will be a spectacular day. It may start off a little humid, but becoming sunny and a lot less humid as the day progresses.
Be good. Oh, that'll definitely be a good thing, David. Need some sunshine after all this busy day. So again, here's the overall view of what all is going on right now across central Mississippi. We do have a couple of showers from Canton down towards I-55, now making its way towards Brookhaven. A little bit heavier rain right now into Attala County. We are watching that heavy rain develop now, making its way into western Yazoo County this evening. There's a couple of lightning bolts with that, but not really seeing anything strengthening at this time time. Again, we still have a couple more hours to go with that severe threat going before it does end up being ended, but we do still have a ways to go. Heavy rain from I-55 over towards Greenville as that boundary progresses across into the Delta counties. We are still watching that tornado emergency now barreling down on top of Winona. If you have any friends or family members over towards Winona, you need to give them a call in the next couple of minutes and ask if they're okay, because it looks like they may have gotten a direct hit from that. Eupora is coming up next, and this is going to be making its way just towards the northwest of Amory. If you have any friends or family just north of the Golden Triangle region, also give them a heads up. Make sure they're tuning in on their local television screens as well to make sure that they are in the know for what this one cell is doing, because back behind it, that circulation that we were watching back behind that main cell does end up looking that it has now kind of went kaput. It is over into Holmes County, so we're not really seeing any imminent threat at this time. But continue to watch heavy rain as we go throughout the next couple of hours. We are watching that front over towards Greenville and off into I-55. We still have a couple more hours to go before this front is finally cleared on out of here. Like what David mentioned, we are going to be seeing some nice conditions going into your Saturday. Could have a couple of storms heading our way on Sunday, but nothing as compared to what we have been seeing over the past couple of hours with that one supercell going all the way from Lake Providence, tracking up over into our Delta counties and over into Holmes County as well. So again, if you have friends or family members up into Winona, give them a call and make sure they're okay. There's a lot of lightning up there with that tornado continuing to be on the ground with that tornado emergency. A little bit hard to tell, but you still have that area of rotation. This is going right along Highway 82 right now, right on top of Winona. Again, this is not necessarily in our region, but because this has been such a catastrophic event and this is now making its way into other communities that we all have friends and family that know up there, we are going to keep track with this for a couple more minutes. So again, Winona is continuing to barrel on down with a lot of wind shear at this time. That one area of rotation back behind it, just nowhere near as strong with it. Here's that wide view. Once again, we're going to have to update this because this has been the past hour and a half with that area of rotation. Dry conditions right now over into Anguilla and Lake Providence, but we do still have that one boundary that's now making its way just towards the north and west of Irwin. So heavy rain still to come for parts of central Mississippi, but we are expecting that front to slide down towards the south and east over the next little bit. So we'll keep this right here for about one more minute or two before we see if we need to toss to regular programming or not. But here's that overall view. There's that update with that extended tornado watch now. This includes the Queen City over into Meridian. This includes the Golden Triangle. For us, we have that tornado watch in effect until midnight. We'll have to watch that low-level jet ride eastward to see if it kind of spruces eastward quicker before that front gets through, and if so, the tail edge of it, we may get lucky enough and not really get to see anything else back behind it. But again, that tornado watch still in effect for pretty much all of central Mississippi, with the exception of Jefferson, Davis, Pike, and Walthall County until midnight tonight. So we have a couple more hours until we finally start to see that severe threat clear out of our area. We continue to watch these gusts push across central Mississippi anywhere between 30 to 50 miles an hour, especially off towards the north, where we continue to watch some of these storms move off towards the east. It's not until midnight until the worst of it is out of here. We still have a couple of lingering showers back behind it, and then as we go into the day tomorrow, we start to see those clouds clear on out, and then by the afternoon hours, we have a lot nicer conditions. Widespread sunshine, a little bit on the breezy side, but much better conditions. It gives those people off into the Delta who had to deal with those catastrophic events time to clean up the pieces. Real quick, I'm going to step out of here, see if there are any updates on what else is going on. Okay.
Get on my Twitter page, and I did retweet a picture that is not good. We're looking at everything leveled in Rolling Fork from the picture that I'm seeing, and this looks like it, you know, I can't tell if it's significant buildings or not. But it is not good up there in Rolling Fork with the damage that this storm has done. So there, you know, that was sent about, I'd say an hour ago. So they were calling for help at that time. But of course, then we know they're transporting people down to Vicksburg. No warnings in our area right now, but we're still not out of the woods yet. On one of these hits, there's so much going on in the background. I'm trying to look at some of the forecast data, but it still looks like areas to the north of Interstate 20 have the better chance of stuff still firing up here. We still got maybe an hour or two of wind energy that's still in our vicinity that could give us an uptick of storms. The back edge of the severe weather threat now coming into the Greenville area, well, actually to the east of Greenville, and then extends back down over to Lake Providence, Louisiana. And we still have some showers that are trying to pop up across Mississippi, but they are non-severe at this time. So I'm sure the MEMA and everybody that you know, that's their jobs. They're, you know, sending all the support that they can up towards Rolling Fork, Red Cross, and all that. Just do understand that we do believe that the situation is not good from Rolling Fork and to the northeast along the path that this tornado took. So that would include Rolling Fork and Anguilla. So northern Issaquena County, then moved over towards Sharkey County. Silver City got hit. There's a lot of damage there. I've seen some tweets about damage there in the downtown part of Silver City. And then this has continued over to the northeast of Chula. Right now, the tornado just went through Winona a short time ago. And let's get up there. There you can see it right now. Some really rough weather has passed to the east of Winona, and it does continue to move off towards the northeast. We do continue to see some signs of significant damage there. In fact, let me switch over to Columbus, Mississippi radar. And see, we're still seeing some really bad stuff in there. So I'm on the Columbus, let me go just make sure I got that. I think I do have it up. Looking at the Columbus, Mississippi radar. Press the reflectivity. Yeah, that's Columbus. And you can still see this is a nasty storm. Still do believe it is producing a tornado. I'm going to turn the lightning off so we can see the couplet a little bit better. This tornado went through Winona a short time ago and now continues to make its way off to the northeast. Looks like it'll pass to the north of Eupora and to the south of Calhoun City. My geography is not quite as good outside the Channel 16 viewing area, but we certainly are confident that we still do have a tornado on the ground associated with that cell. And there you can see our warning wing with that storm system moving off to the northeast. So really, if you have the family and friends that are up here in the northeast part of Mississippi where this storm is, give them a heads up. This is going to still continue probably up through and past 10 o'clock. Headed really probably up towards maybe Houston, Okolona, and the Amory community. Looks like it will pass to the north of Starkville, this particular tornado. And here's West Point and Columbus down here. This is moving to the northeast, so really high confidence that the tornado will pass off to the north and northwest of Starkville, so more of a threat to the Houston, Okolona, Amory, Aberdeen communities as it continues off to the move to the northeast. And keep in mind, with time, we have seen it recycle one time, and the tornado and the storm shifted a little bit further to the north. You know, eventually they'll do a survey of this tornado, and starting from Lake Providence, you know, if it would lift up and then touch back down, they would actually count it as more than one tornado. But the radar presentation and the data we have been watching this evening has been very steady and clear that it really looked like it has been on the ground for a long time. We know we're well over 60 miles on the ground right now. And Tristana had measured that a short time ago, so no surprise with that. So probably easily going to do 100 miles. It's over halfway across the state now. Started here at Lake Providence, has crossed over and past I-55. So we're, you know, maybe just about halfway across the state. Off the top of my head, I don't remember the mileage of the Yazoo City tornado, but it was certainly a top It might have been the second longest tornado track in Mississippi history, and certainly if this continues with time across and into northeast Mississippi, this tornado will probably go up into the top 5 on storm length as well. And of course, with it being night, it's really hard to say what's going on, what damage looks like. It's really going to be first light before we see what's going on up in the delta of Mississippi. Farmers probably hit hard. Crops not really yet started for the season, but certainly property structures in the farmland going to have a lot of damage, and of course the communities from Rolling Fork northeast along the track of this storm. So that's what we have right now. Just let me switch back to the Jackson radar right here and see what's going on in our area. Again, there's no warnings in our immediate viewing area, which is good news. We're monitoring the cells, but we don't see any development. I'm going to go back to Kristana. I'm going to take a look at some data while you're on again, try to give folks a better forecast update here over the next couple hours.
Absolutely. I did a little research too, David. That Yazoo City tornado, 149 miles on the ground.
So I'd say that was probably, I think, maybe about the second longest in our history. And that was EF4, right?
Yep, EF4. And right now we're on track about 105 with that initial measurement. So this is going to be officially measured starting tomorrow. It's going to take a couple of days with how long this track is right now. So let's all count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 counties. And it's continuing as well, just continues to show how dangerous this storm is. We are continuing to get pictures and feedback on our social media pages. As you're watching this and you're scrolling through your phones trying to get pictures, we have them. Check out David, check out my social media pages on Facebook and Twitter. We have those pictures, we have those updates as well. We're trying to get them to you as quick as possible so you can multitask while we're multitasking, right? We're telling you what's happening as we speak, and you're also scrolling on your phone to check out what's all going on, because it's not a good scene over in Silver City, unfortunately. So right now, pretty much 106 miles on the ground and counting. We're continuing to watch that low-level jet right eastward with that tornado warning. I mean, this thing had about 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 tornado warnings, 6 now added onto that. That's just northwest of Aberdeen over towards the southern edge of Tupelo and Lee counties. So this continues to move off towards the north. If you're in Pontotoc County, I know I have a couple of friends up there who may be watching our live feed on social media. If you're in Pontotoc County, you need to be watching your local stations and heed that warning, as that tornado warning looks to be issuing for you soon, as well as up into Lee County as well. For us in central Mississippi, a lot of us have gotten lucky so far. Again, that tornado watch in effect until 12 o'clock. Time right now is 9:47, so we have about 2 hours and 15 minutes to go until that tornado watch ends up expiring. Here's what it looks like right now. Pretty quiet across much of central Mississippi with a couple of hit or miss showers from Canton down towards Brookhaven. No lightning to be reported of at this time, but we do have heavy rain and a couple of lightning strikes just towards western Holmes and into Yazoo County, west of Yazoo City, but down towards Natchez, a couple of showers all the way up to Vicksburg, which honestly, if you remember correctly, if you remember a couple of minutes ago, we were talking about, we do have a couple of storm chasers that were on site right before and right after the tornado hit Silver City. Because of the hospital being damaged by the tornado in just towards the west of Silver City, they are now having to transport some of those injured people all the way down to Vicksburg. So they're going to be riding right along where that heavy rain is. It's going to be a rough ride for them. Fortunately, it does look like over in Vicksburg, we do have some shower activity going on, but no thunderstorms to be reported of at this time. So again, unfortunately, a catastrophic event that is just going to continue to unfold over the next couple of days. Here's that zoomed in look with that one tornado warning storm. I mean, I just don't think that lightning has really gone down any over the past 1 to 2 hours. We crossed right before the tornado warning was issued over towards Issaquah County. David and I were looking and it was like, that's a lot of lightning with it. It continues, and that just goes to show how strong that supercell is. It's continuing off towards the north of Eupora. This is going to be moving just towards the west of Amory, and if that tracks, that's going to be clipping Lee County. So again, we're still on the air with the fact that we have friends and family, and I know you have friends and family that live in the northeastern part of Mississippi. So you get to have an update as they are getting an update on what all is going on. So again, zoomed on in from Chula to Yazoo City, a couple of lightning strikes going on right now. It does look like it's possible those storm chasers may be able to get to Vicksburg without any thunderstorm activity going on, as they're in a little bit of a lull between that heavy rain from Yazoo City and now from Greenville to Hollandale and just over towards Sunflower County. So we do have heavy rain and a couple of thunderstorms ongoing back off into Chula, Greenwood, and Greenville as that boundary starts to slide towards the east. So we're a couple hours away from this event pretty much being over with, but we are still expected to see blustery conditions with this over the next couple of hours. The tail edge of it, I do think, could provide the chance for a couple of thunderstorms up until around midnight, but even then, that main threat clears our area by midnight with a few lingering showers back behind it up until around the 4 o'clock time frame. Isabel Davis is going to have your update on that tomorrow morning on the newscast. We will eventually start to see those clouds clear on out. By Saturday afternoon, it's going to be a little bit on the breezy side, gusts anywhere between 15 to 20 miles an hour, but we see the sunshine, which we desperately need, especially off into Sharkey and Humphreys counties, and I would honestly say even over into Issaquena and Holmes counties as well with this. So we are continuing to track this system out throughout the night. David, it's been a rough one. Only a few more hours to go.
All right, let's look at radar. We're looking out of Columbus, Mississippi. Christina, you'll be very interested in this. This is our tornado that we're tracking, which is now passed to the east of Winona. And I have the CC on, so the tornado is down here, and we're seeing debris up across Webster and towards Chickasaw County. I hope I'm getting my Mississippi geography counties right there. So just incredible that we're seeing that low-level jet stream pick up, you know, the debris that the tornado is spewing out and sending it up. Right here is Eupora, so that tornado got to pass pretty close to Eupora, but probably just off to the north of Eupora, but heads up to all the family and relatives that you may have up there, but still continuing to see just incredible stuff with this storm system. All right, let's go back over to radar. Switch over to my maps here, and what we are looking at, if we could switch over to the maps, is the radar across our Delta counties right now, and here's what's going on. And it still does look like, and I think we're transitioning now to a much more lower-end severe threat. The threat of severe weather certainly not over, and the tornado watch is in effect until midnight, and we do have to continue to monitor these lines, and it does look like it'll be midnight or shortly thereafter, you know, maybe in our eastern side of the metro area, in our eastern counties, it may be until 1 or 2 a.m. till we can technically rule things out. But I was looking at some data while Christina was just on, and I do see signs that the activity that will be forming here over the next hour or two doesn't look like it'll be as intense as we've seen through the course of the evening. You can certainly tell we still have a low-level jet stream sweeping across the area, but really, as we've been forecasting, the best lift has been north of a Vicksburg-Jackson line, so that's where we continue to expect some of the stronger storms, but no warnings in the Channel 16 viewing area right now. Everything is out of our area. It's past to the east of Winona right now, so it's you know, way up there, Montgomery County, and you can see there's just not a whole lot of activity in our immediate area. And the frontal boundary, you can see where it is, stretching to the east of Greenville over into northeast Louisiana. Just keep in mind, when we look at the radar, yeah, we see the rain, but keep in mind there's other weather factors that we're watching. And as we head towards the midnight hour, a lot of these features, which were the kicker for the severe weather outbreak tonight, shift off into northeast Mississippi and out of our area. Therefore, the severe weather threat, which was up here, comes down over the next couple of hours. Here is the wide view, and if you were watching the 5 and 6 o'clock news, we had all this activity back in the Arklatex region. Our area of low pressure is actually just to the west of Memphis right now, and it is in the area of West Tennessee and North Mississippi. This is where our upper level wind energy and jet stream is shifting, and the storms are conglomerating across northeast Mississippi. They'll be shifting over into northwest Alabama and to south central Tennessee, which is where the tornado watches have just been issued for. And again, the front still just off to our west, but with these severe parameters shifting northeast out of our area, we do expect our severe weather threat to come down now here over the next couple of hours. Here is the radar forecast showing, again, the heaviest activity basically north of Interstate 20. And look how intense the activity is coming out of northeast Mississippi after midnight into northwestern parts of Alabama. The thinking is, yes, we do have some cells down here, but it doesn't look like the severe weather threat will continue to be as high as it has been through the course of this evening. All right, here's wind gusts. We'll put that back up there for you and show the activity moving through. Now, I don't know if you do Twitter, but for those folks that do Twitter, I did retweet some images and some movies and some of the video that I saw from Rolling Fork, and I don't know where it was. It looked like it may have been in the downtown area of Rolling Fork, but everything was leveled. There was nothing standing in the video. Just unbelievable with that storm. So we talked as we were tracking that just based on the data that we saw that perhaps the storm was an EF3, maybe an EF4. That's not out of the realm of possibilities, but certainly just incredible to see that video from Storm Chaser. And the Storm Chasers were actually trying to help rescue people that were hit by the storm. There was a tornado warning out on it in plenty of time, but it was a fast mover, tracking at about 50 to 60 miles across our Delta counties and hit the northwestern parts of the viewing area very, very hard. Kristana, do you remember what time did we start tracking that storm?
My goodness.
We get on here and you know, maybe she can check that out, but we've been tracking that.
It's over 2 hours.
Storm, yeah, that one particular storm for 2 hours, and you know, it's been on the ground for what we're estimating is at least 100 miles, a little over. Around 7:30, 7:40. Around 7:30. So yeah, so coming up on 2.5 hours. So that would cover it. You know, if it's moving about 50 miles per hour and it's been on the ground for 2.5 hours, that's over 100 miles, and continues to make its way across the northeast parts of the state. Still talking about the tornado watch is in effect until midnight. We'll see what happens with that. Certainly based on what has happened and storms still possibly popping up, I do not expect the tornado watch to be canceled early. It's going to go for a little while longer. Again, here is the Delta. It's still not out of the woods. We got some downpours moving across Yazoo City. We see no signs of intense activity because look up here. Look at the lightning associated with these cells. And then you come back to our Delta counties where we do have downpours, and there's not a whole lot of lightning associated with those. So really a big difference. I know we see the reds on the radar, and there is a tornado watch in effect, but we do continue to see all indications of the parameters which kicked off the severe weather shifting out of our viewing area and off to the northeast, and I think that's why you see the intensity right here. Right now, I think for the Channel 16 viewing area, we just need to continue to monitor the storms and make sure that they don't ramp up unexpectedly. So I know a lot of folks don't like to go to bed when there's the threat of tornadoes or there is a tornado watch on the ground, especially when we've covered what has happened tonight. But I can't stress enough that as we head through the 10 o'clock hour, 11 o'clock hour, and towards midnight, the severe weather parameters that were in place this evening are not in place, and we don't expect the strength or intensity of the storms that we've had earlier this evening, but certainly still the threat of some severe storms. So we're coming up on the 10 o'clock hour, and we'll be throwing it over to the news desk here in about a minute or so, and it's certainly been an incredible night. Kristana, did you want to add anything before we go over to the news desk?
There's not really anything new to be reported right now.
This is a first for you, a weather event like this, as bad as it is.
I think this is the first one really to be able to tag team with you with this, because last time was when I first started here, when I remember the Bassville and the So-So very, very vividly, when it just trailed through over 60 miles back to back. That was just the one time where my mouth just dropped. This is the next time where we saw that happen.
Well, what has always amazed me is how we expect weather elements to come into place, and we expect certain types of weather to happen, and then we see the weather actually evolve into some severe storms. So really incredible to see these storms evolve as we expected, and a lot of times it is just one storm that does big damage, and that is what has happened tonight. You know, we try hard, we work hard in the Weather Center, and we certainly do appreciate the viewers trusting us in times like this. We try to bring you precise, accurate, and good information, and hopefully save some lives along the way.
Okay, David, thank you. And thank you for staying with us tonight for this severe weather coverage.
I mean, it has been, when you see some of the videos that we are seeing on social media coming in out of Rolling Fork and what we're hearing out of Silver City, really a devastating night there.
It is. You just don't have any words of it. And all you can think is just hope and pray that people are okay over there, because the pictures and the videos that we're getting in right now, it's not good. It's something that's going to take people to have to rebuild for months, and this is something that people are going to have to talk about for the rest of their lives now.
Yeah, and especially even the situation that's going on there tonight. We've talked about some potential damage to the Sharkey-Sequina Hospital, people being transported to Vicksburg for treatment, and that's what, an hour and a half drive just to get to the hospital from that area.
And you're also thinking the back roads for this too. So you're in that rural community to where you're not taking I-55, you're not taking I-20, you're having to take these back roads that may have also been affected from these storms. So they're having to hope and pray that they're able to get to Vicksburg with these people in their back seats also okay, so they can get to that hospital to seek help.
And it sounds like right now a lot of search and rescue going on too.
Yeah, we do want to, if we could, Kristana, get a rundown from you as far as what has happened weather-wise in case people are just tuning in for the night.
Absolutely. So for the top of my mind, we started coming on the air with this one storm around 7:30, 7:45. And this is something that we've actually been tracking since yesterday. One of our short-term, high-resolution guidances that we really look at and not necessarily heavily rely on per se, but it's something that gives you a good idea as to what could possibly happen. And whenever we talked about this is going to be a situation to where we could see an outbreak, we can see catastrophic damage, we could see a prolonged tornado on the ground for a long period of time. We've been tracking that since yesterday, if not the day before. So we were aware that this was not only going to be a serious situation for the Delta, but also for parts of central Mississippi. It was only a matter of time to watch these storms evolve, to see what actually is going to happen and how these storms eventually form. So once that tornado warning was went off, it was only a matter of time until that warning confirmed that there was a tornado on the ground. It was a very large one. We love our storm chasers up there, hope and praying that they're being safe right now. But they are our visual eyes, because we're in a room to where we don't have any windows. Right. We can't see what's going on. We don't have any sky cameras out there that we can look at. So we really rely on social media that allows us to see what these storm chasers are seeing out there. And that just goes to show how big of an issue this setup and this system alone really was. I mean, it's been going through over 7 counties right now and counting, well over 100 miles on the ground. And I mean, we just can't stress enough. I mean, we talked about Silver City, but you also have to talk about a couple of other places, even well before that. So it's just going to be a long night for several people.
A long night. And of course, this is all happening, it's at dark. And I remember you saying last night that was something you were
Well, you know, when we're covering weather, I've been through a storm or two.
You have.
When you have a situation and you don't hear anything from a community, that's not a good sign. Right. And you know, that's what we were having. We had the tornado went through, and then you don't hear anything for a period of time, and then you know, you start hearing from, you know, well, we need rescue personnel, all the ambulances, and all that. This storm really exploded rapidly, and a number of times tonight I alluded to the Yazoo City tornado, and this had very similar characteristics. The Yazoo City tornado exploded just as it got to the Mississippi River, and it was a wedge tornado and just roared across the state. This track's going to be a little bit further to the north, but it was very similar. It developed really into a strong tornado in probably less than 15 minutes time. Everything just came together. There were no other storms to interfere. A lot of times you hear me when we're talking about severe weather, there's a lot of storms in the area, so the storm can't, you know, gain all the energy. This storm was by itself, gained all the energy. And what was impressive, as we mentioned through our coverage, the consistency of the storm. It did not change intensity. It cycled one time, but that was about an hour and 15 minutes after it had been on the ground. and it just remains steady with the winds between 110 and 125 being detected on radar. I think it's probably going to be an EF4 tornado.
Oh, goodness.
Now, just because you see video from Rolling Fork of everything leveled, you have to take into account what type of structure it was. Sure. And some of it looked like it was metal. Yeah. So that's going to go down a little bit easier. Do I think it was an EF5? Not on radar data, I don't. But, you know, a number doesn't really matter, to be honest about it. It was a strong tornado with catastrophic winds, and it did a lot of damage tonight. And it was at night, and it was rain-wrapped, and it was a dangerous situation even for the chasers to be out there tonight.
Well, you were talking about not hearing from a community in the immediate aftermath after a storm. We have 2 crews on the ground, you know, in those areas, and we can't get a signal back from them. So that kind of tells you the situation there.
A lot of activity too, and you know, it's possible that cell towers are down. Right. You know, from the winds, just depending on where they are. Of course, we all know the Delta is flat and it is rural, but this tornado hit towns. Yeah. So it just wasn't in rural farmland area. It hit towns. And, you know, we hadn't heard much from Anguilla or Silver City, and we know they got hit hard. We know Chula, and now Winona's been hit. So a lot of this isn't going to be clear until probably the morning. I know MEMA has already sent search and rescue crews to these areas. So the severity of this situation is significant.
I do want to share with you, if it's okay, what we've heard from Governor Tate Reeves, if we can, about this. He has been commenting on Twitter tonight. This is what he has said.
The governor tweeted that he had received no official damage reports as of 9 p.m., but said the State Emergency Management Agency is coordinating with other state agencies to try and help with those response efforts.
A lot of people had taken issue as well with that there was no official report. That's because we're still waiting on those crews from MEMA to get in there. The state can't just take the reports that we're seeing on social media, the videos from storm chasers. They can't count it as an official report until the investigators from MEMA make it into that community, which is something that's very hard to do right now, given the situation there.
Exactly. And speaking of Rolling Fork, we are talking about a possible deadly situation. We do have crews headed to that area, but as we said, hard to get a signal from them in the conditions. But these pictures come from storm chaser Reed Timmer. If we can go back to that photo, Rolling Fork, Anguilla, Louise, and Belsona all taking damage from this massive tornado. It's the wedge tornado David and Kristana have been talking about, and people in the area saying the storm was a rain-wrapped wedge tornado. A lot of power flashes inside of it, more than a mile wide, and causing just a lot of destruction there.
Yeah, I do want to mention, we mentioned we have crews on the ground. Ross Adams has been working there. Before we talk about what's going on in Sharkey County, I just want to tell you a couple of the things that Ross has been telling us. Of course, we can't get him on the air like we want to right now because he doesn't have that connection. But I know he spoke with the Sharkey County coroner, who was in her home when this happened, and she told Ross that it blew out the windows, damaged the roof, and knocked down trees at her house. So she was dealing with that while getting out to check on what was going on in the community around her. He also spoke with the Warren County Emergency Management Director, who was on the ground in Rolling Fork in the middle of search and rescue efforts, trying to assist the local authorities there, who were also trying to rescue people and get them to, in many cases, hospitals or to doctors where they could seek treatment. I want to show you some of the other images that we have coming into our newsroom here.
Yeah, and as we're taking a look at the map there of Sharkey County and Rolling Fork, tornadoes damaging wind gusts, hail up to the size of golf balls being reported. And the National Weather Service in Jackson did confirm a tornado caused damage in Silver City and Rolling Fork and was still moving along Highway 49. Emergency responders, we heard, were trying to take injured people to hospitals. We're unsure of how many people may have been hurt, but many are being taken, we're hearing, to Vicksburg for medical treatment.
Yeah, doctors in Vicksburg preparing for that right now. We spoke about Anguilla a minute ago and not having any video. Well, we have some now. Our crews were actually headed to Rolling Fork when they got stopped because of this power line that had fallen down. I mean, you can get an idea of just how dark it is out there, and you never know in the aftermath of a storm what you're going to drive right up on. So our crews had to stop here and reroute because of this power line that had blocked the road in Anguilla.
Yeah, and here's a tweet tonight from MEMA about the damage. MEMA tweeting, search and rescue assets are deploying to Sharkey and Humphrey County. Health assets assessing local hospitals in Sharkey County. Human Services assessing the needs of those impacted, and damage assessments, official damage assessments, are expected to begin in the morning.
Yeah, having to wait till daylight till those official investigators can get there. Okay, David.
All right, yep. Can you put up Storm Shield 16 3D for me, please, first? Want to give the viewers an update of where this tornado is, that still believe it to be on the ground. Here is Starkville, West Point, and we do have the tornado warnings confirmed, a tornado on the ground from the Walthall community. West Point, you are not in the tornado warning, but areas that we had talked about during our live coverage up towards Houston. And here's what the radar looks like. Here's I-55. Here's Grenada, Coffeyville, Oxford. Oxford is now in the clear of any severe weather. They had some tornado warnings up there, severe thunderstorm warnings up over into Tupelo. But the tornado which went through our area, boy, I'll tell you, it's been on the ground for almost 3 hours now. And it's up over northeast Mississippi, but as also we said during our live coverage tonight, it would pass to the northwest of Starkville. You know, it was early in the game, about an hour out from Starkville. We weren't entirely clear about that. It was heading towards Starkville, but it went through a recycle and shifted a little bit further to the north. And there you see right where it is right now, and taking more of a northeast type track. All right, let's go over to the maps, trying to do some storm analysis while we're covering the severe weather so you can make your plans to go to bed. Here's the track. This is the rotation tracker stretching across the delta through Belzona, Chula, and then up across really Holmes County. The northern part of Holmes County got hit very hard, and then past to the north of Vaden and Monona. And that little cluster, that bright cluster of lightning, is where the tornado is. And notice there's a cell following right behind it, a nasty cell as well. So there's a couple cells producing some very nasty stuff, but it's the first one, which is the tornado that moved across our northwestern counties. This will challenge the Yazoo City tornado for path length. And even though we were expecting this area to be the area for a tornado, you know, I didn't expect that there would just be one. You know, a lot of times it turns out that way. And when that is the case, all the energy that is available in the atmosphere focuses right there in that one storm. It gets all the energy, and that's probably why this was a higher end storm. You know, when this is all over, I'll refresh my memory, but to see a tornado go from the Mississippi River almost all the way across the state has probably only happened a handful of times, if that many. And many times it may not actually make it across the whole state. This will be a top 5 tornado in length. And of course, the entire path length will have to be surveyed for, was it EF3, was it EF4, EF2? At times it was probably stronger, at times probably not as strong. All right, this is the current radar right now, and really don't have any concern in the short term for any kind of severe weather. Quite honestly, I'd be surprised if we had an uptick in any significant weather. It looks really, when you look at the radar and where the storms are, that all that severe weather parameter stuff is shifting out of our area. Now, the front is not through. The tornado watch does continue, and I wouldn't say the threat is entirely over, but I would have very high confidence that I would not expect any storm to intensify to the intensity of the storm that we had move through our Delta counties tonight. Starting, what are you, Christina, you said about 7:30? 7:30. So here we are, coming, you know, 10:15 or whatever it is. It's still on the ground up in northeast Mississippi. It's almost on the ground for 3 hours. Hard to believe, incredible. Here is the line of storms, and it's up here in northeast Mississippi, northwest Alabama, Tennessee Valley area where the severe weather parameters are focusing themselves. As I pointed out during our coverage, look at all the lightning up here. Look at the lack of lightning down here, so really don't expect a big uptick. These are the lower level winds. Look at the confluence of arrows coming out of the southwest and the west. Here are your severe weather parameters. Let me overlay the upper level winds. Well, if you were watching the last couple of nights, I showed you where there was crossover. Well, once we got past 10 o'clock and through 11 o'clock, we didn't expect crossover. We expected the winds pretty much to be parallel to each other. There's a little crossover back here, but the parameters aren't favorable for severe weather. So where we have the storms forming, it's all parallel. It would be more of a wind threat. Also notice the radar forecast, the intensity is a lot higher than we're actually seeing, probably because all the storm energy is up over northeast Mississippi. And as we head through the overnight hours, you can see how the rain finally does move out of the area. If you're over in Vicksburg right now, the rain's probably pretty much wound down. You still may have a shower, but the bulk of the rain is over. Again, the intensity of the radar forecast is a lot higher in this line than is actually happening. It's not that intense right now. And there you can see how it all just continues to shift through with the strongest storms back up over the Tennessee Valley. Let me skip to the 7-day forecast. We're just kind of winging everything here tonight with everything going on. I want to give you the forecast. Saturday, sunshine, maybe a little humid and damp very early in the morning. But dry air is going to move in rapidly, and it should be a very, very pleasant day with temperatures getting up into the low 80s with low humidity. And tomorrow night, it'll cool off, feel kind of good out there. Sunday, the front that's coming through today will lift back as a warm front, and we could see some afternoon showers and storms. There's a low-end chance they could spit out a little small hail, but I don't really expect too much out of that. Shower chances will linger Monday. Looks like most of the shower activity should be gone by Tuesday. A little cooler, seasonal stretch of weather. By the end of next week, there'll be a front. And I can tell you long range, this system coming in towards the end of the week could have severe weather impacts in the plain states. Not sure about here. All right, let's throw it back over to the news desk. Boy, I'll tell you, getting a little dry throat there, all this talking.
I can believe it. You guys have been going for a while tonight, David. Thank you. Getting more information about the response effort to Rolling Fork, to Silver City, to Anguilla right now. You know, in the immediate aftermath of the storm, put out the all-call asking for help, and it looks like they are getting more help from agencies in the metro. The Clinton Fire Department is responding tonight.
Yes, the fire chief is saying tornadoes tearing through Rolling Fork and threatening Winona. Clinton Fire Department is sending some folks to help Rolling Fork, and they are leaving now. Also tonight, we're hearing from the governor making an official statement tonight on the devastation. The governor tweeted this tonight. Many in the Mississippi Delta need your prayers and God's protection tonight. We have activated medical support, surging more ambulances and other emergency assets for those affected. Search and rescue is active. Watch weather reports and stay cautious throughout the night, Mississippi.
And here's where we stand on power outages right now in Mississippi. Power Outage US, this is what they're reporting right now. More than 10,000 customers without power. The majority of those outages, yeah, they're in Sharkey's and Humphreys County, where you would expect to see them tonight. Sharkey's County reporting more than 1,800 outages, more than 1,500 in Humphreys County right now. We'll keep you updated on those numbers this evening and, of course, in the morning as we work to see the full extent of the damage. I want to continue our severe weather coverage now with the members of our team who've been out throughout the evening monitoring this situation as the storm kind of passed over the Mississippi River.
Yeah, and like we said, they are actually headed to these impacted areas. Rolling Fork, Silver City, we're having trouble getting contact from them because of the devastation we're thinking in those areas, with the power being knocked out, cell phone towers likely being knocked out. But they did, let's see, who are we talking to now? Troy Johnson was earlier today in Vicksburg, and he did this report for us earlier in the evening about what he saw.
Seen some off and on showers. That's about it here in Vicksburg, though. Some Some winds have been consistent, though, throughout the evening. As you can see, the American flag on the Vicksburg Bridge, out across the Mississippi River, flying straight out. That's been the situation for the entire evening. There had been concerns about this storm hitting the area because in the past, severe weather has hit Vicksburg and there have been downed trees and power lines because of heavy storms historically. John Elfer of the Warren County EOC, Mayor George Flaggs, checked in with both of them. They've been monitoring the situation this entire evening, but their expectation was that the storm may stay north of the city. That appears to be the situation here in Vicksburg. They may have dodged a bullet. But again, EOC is watching the situation, trying to make sure that the River City avoids a serious storm. In Vicksburg tonight, Troy Johnson, 16, WAPT News.
And it's kind of eerie to see how much worse the weather got just about an hour, I think, after Troy was able to shoot that report from Vicksburg. And again, he's one of our crew members that's headed into the Rolling Fork area right now. We've been trying to get in touch with him and, to be honest, can't get him on his phone because we believe that the cell phone towers are down there.
Right, but we did hear from reporter Grayson Gordon, and she is saying that their vehicle, the news car, was hit by a power line.
I think we have some video that she was able to send into us of the power line that they drove up on as they were headed through Anguilla trying to get to Rolling Fork. I don't know if we can pull that back up to show you what she's talking about. It's dark, it's raining. Yeah, they're driving through the area and drove right up on this.
And we do have actually a third crew headed to this area. They are telling us, they're telling us that emergency personnel are flying past them, trying to, get out there. There's been a call for emergency responders to go to the area to help with the devastation there in the aftermath of these storms.
Kristana's back over here with us. What else are you hearing and seeing, Kristana?
I mean, it's the same thing that you guys are hearing. It's either dead silent with some of these communities or emergency personnel trying to get there. One of my friends, he's one of the storm chasers that's up there helping these people. He was in the Mayfield tornado about a year and a half ago when their town just completely got wiped off the map, and they're still rebuilding today. He was saying this is one of the most devastating situations that he has seen. A couple of his storm chaser friends are on the road to Vicksburg right now to get these people some help. We have injured people in Rolling Fork, in Silver City area. We don't know how many people are injured. We're keeping our fingers crossed that there's no fatalities. One thing that we never want to hear is a fatality when it comes to these type of situations, because one fatality is one too many. But you also have to think this is a rural community. You don't necessarily have the structures up there that some other communities, like in the metro and some other states, may have. So it's a lot easier for tornadoes, either an EF1 or an EF2, to roll over a mobile home. So just imagine what the damage could possibly be up there. So unfortunately, it is still dark up there. We're not really going to get a lot of visual on what actually is going to possibly be the case until daylight tomorrow.
Speaking of visual.
Yes.
If they go to web to browser or something, we can
they know
show,
what to do. Yes.
can show some of the stuff that I was tweeting out, I understand, of the destruction up there in Rolling Fork.
Go ahead and talk us through it in case they can't.
Well, it was just the pictures of everything being leveled up there in Rolling Fork.
There's one picture I saw, I also retweeted on, it's all on our social media pages like we were talking about, but a house of where you could tell that kids were at, because there's these towels of different Looney Tune characters that were on there just completely ratted away. So it's just amazing to see. And I know amazing is not necessarily the right word to use with this, but again, the words are just hard to come by when you look at these pictures.
It is hard to come by. I was reading, one of our viewers had commented under one of the posts that his sister had been pulled out from under a house. We don't know how she's doing yet, but that he was trying to get there to see how she was doing.
Well, a lot of these stories are going to be coming out because this is a late evening, nighttime thing, and the damage won't be realized until daylight, not only Rolling Fork, but we'll be talking about other communities and just how extensive it is. I see on our map we're tracking it maybe about 125 miles now.
So talk us through the process of when are we going to hear something official from the National Weather Service as far as what exactly this was?
Well, they'll probably get out there tomorrow because of the severity of it, but here again, it's going to take days to survey the entire length of it. You know, they'll probably go right over there to the Rolling Fork area, and they'll probably be able to tell right off the bat that, you know, this was EF3, EF4 or such, but it's going to take days to confirm the exact length and you know, the intensity will probably change over the course. So it'll take a lot of man hours to, survey that. We certainly know it was a tornado now. It's just the specifics for the history books.
I remember you saying last night, as we were getting off, I think, the air at 6 o'clock, that you didn't have a good feeling about it.
I was wondering if you remembered that, but, as I said, it wasn't a situation that I thought there'd be one tornado.
Yeah.
I can think of numerous occasions. The Yazoo City tornado, we didn't think that was going to be one. There was one down in your area many years ago, the late 1980s, that hit Glade.
It destroyed the school. I was a kid.
But it was a Saturday, so it was a blessing.
No one was at school that day.
And on that day, we were expecting a lot of storms. And of course, in the 80s, we didn't have the technology that we had today. Yeah. But that was an event. That was one storm. And, Hattiesburg's been hit the last couple of years. And these times where you just never know how the storm energy, we can talk about days ahead of time that something's going to happen, but I'll be honest with you, it's not until hours before it happens that we know how all the elements are going to work together and act. And I think there was at one point we kind of said, well, it looks like it's all going to be, north of the Jackson metro area. We could kind of tell that. Right. But no, I didn't really just expect one storm. I knew the weather elements didn't look good, and I didn't like the way it looked, but I just thought there'd be more storms. And well, thankfully there wasn't. But, when you just have one storm, all the energy goes into that one storm.
I remember I was a young reporter and I went to Yazoo City after that storm back in, was it 2010? Yeah. And it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. Like a bomb had been dropped on this town, this restaurant destroyed, neighborhoods destroyed, and it was all just concentrated. Well,
we can see it on TV and we know how bad it is, but when you see it in person,
yeah, it's unforgettable.
That's unforgettable. Christina, just this is her first big event. This will be a night that she'll never forget.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And right now, you just have to think about these people that
are trying we do have that now? Let's scroll for that. So we do have that. So there, I think we have to scroll through the Twitter feed, but you can look at it here, and the top picture, just everything's just leveled.
Yeah, it looks like just a jumbled mess.
Yep, and this is for the folks that don't have Twitter, but you can go to my Twitter. I'm sure Christina has saw some there. There was some video that, just everything is leveled. There's nothing standing where that is. I think, when they talk to these people, they say, well, you can show it, but you just can't show a still image of it. So that's why we're scrolling by it. But the one picture from Rolling Fork, everything, there was nothing standing.
And we are, as we've been saying tonight, we have been hearing from, first responders in those areas calling for help. Come out here, we need help. We need more emergency personnel to help us assess what's going on and help people who have been impacted.
And this is one of the few situations I can remember that kind of call and that happening so quickly after the storm.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often, but over the coming days and weeks, the Mississippians,